Okay, we are recording. I was about to say live. Hello, everyone. Um, so this is the third episode of Chaos Cast. It has been a minute, and we're actually going to be doing something a little different. Normally, I would have like getting to know you questions or something like that, but today we're actually going to be talking about all things spooky and true crime. So, yeah, let's just get right into it. And enjoy this clusterfuck and subscribe if you haven't. Hello, everyone. We're recording.
Hi.
Hello.
Hello.
Good, everybody.
Hi.
Okay. So we have how many people in here? 7, including me. Oh, that's a lot.
Yeah.
So
Isn't 7 like a significant number or some shit?
yeah, because I had a max of 4 at one point for this, and only 3 episodes. Okay, so we're gonna go down the line. You guys can introduce yourselves. Do whatever spook you want to go first since you're at the top of the line.
Of course, since I'm always at the top. Anywho's, hi everyone. I'm this spooky boy. I am 22. Just a regular here that kind of dabbles in voice acting and stuff. And since we're doing a spooky podcast, of course, I was invited as a VIP because people call me the spookmeister, the expert at this stuff. So that and I'm half awake, so we'll see how that's gonna work out. But anywho's, yeah, hi.
All right. Rainy, you want to go?
Next one.
Down low, poke, poke.
All right.
I'll go
Hi
last, by the
everyone.
way.
Okay. Hi everyone. I'm Rainy. I'm 20 and I do VA stuff. I think I was asked slash invited slash wanted to participate because I'm really interested in true crime and stuff. So yeah, really happy to be here.
We're happy to have you here with your adorable voice.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Oh, well, I'm JH, the resident German meme lord and one of the 2 resident cynics. And that's also about why I'm here.
Tony, or do you want to go by Hawk for this?
Either is fine. I guess Tony is the nearest nickname in this server. I go by many names. Tony, Tomatsi,
Ooh,
Hawk.
mysterious.
I'm just a resident programmer who dabbles in voice acting and dabbles a lot in video games because I like video games.
All right.
I'm here to be the programmer.
Here to be the programmer. Here to here to try to technology the paranormal and true crime, apparently.
Exactly.
All right, Dragon.
Greetings and salutations. Hi, I'm Masquerading Dragon, otherwise known as Beautiful Dragon Queen, in our lovely host server. I am a practicing green witch, and when I saw that there was going to be a podcast about the supernatural and true crime, my hodgepodge of a brain went, all those hours of listening to stuff about this and studying it a little myself might come in handy. This sounds like fun.
And I believe that I just heard Nessie.
Yes.
Yes, I did.
Yeah, I'm back.
Welcome
Hello,
back.
Everyone. I'm Nessie Audios. Voice actress and VTuber. I've been a longtime friend of Luca's. I like to play devil's advocate, so I don't know what I will bring to the table. I will just be against everyone. Yay!
Yay!
Nessie against the world.
Nessie against the
Friends
world, of
anyway.
course. I mean,
Well,
we're
hang
all
on, French. If you need an argument,
we're
I
all
can give
we're
one.
I mean, come on, we're all friends here. Let's be honest. All right, so
I'll leave her.
I
Absolutely.
would hope so. Okay, so basically, what this is we're going to be talking about the paranormal, supernatural. We're going to be talking about technical sides of things, urban legends, cryptids, all that kind of stuff, and we're going to be probably closer to the end talking about true crime to balance it out because we always have to bring a little
Realism.
Exactly, realism. So I think we can start with classic paranormal stuff. like paranormal legends that you would hear around the world, or like basically anything that you could think of. So yeah.
Ah, yes, ghost.
Yes.
Ooh.
God,
Ooh.
Those are
this
probably
is
going to be
so
the easiest to debunk.
Yeah.
this is so scuffed. Okay.
We're all
That's
here
what
to have a
makes
good
podcast
time.
fun.
We're all super scuffed.
This is so scuffed. Okay.
I'm doing
Uh,
munchies.
Nessie is eating. I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Uh-huh. We're
Pick a
professionals.
topic, any topic.
Okay.
Okay.
Hodgepodge, 100 points.
I need to
Hey.
dox myself here. So, story time.
Okay.
I was, when I was younger, a Girl Scout. I was a Girl Scout for nearly 14 years. And every year we went to summer camp. Now, at this summer camp, it is a well known fort in my local area. And the fort has been around since the Civil War time. At night, you could hear the ghosts of the dead soldiers crying. There would be no wind. There would be no outside area. We live in the middle of nowhere. So, what was going on? And sometimes actually you would see ghosts, like in the cemeteries, because it's surrounded by cemeteries.
All
I
right.
would like to visit this place someday.
I would definitely like to visit this place as well. Okay.
I will give you the address.
So,
Sounds good.
do we have any comments from our resident skeptics here?
No, I don't have any.
Well, I have the one thing that generally, when it comes to people hearing something that sounds like humans, oftentimes a culprit are certain animals, which the most common one would be the mountain lion, because that can sound uncannily human if it wants to.
I'm in Ohio.
Yeah, but
Foxes?
I was asked for comments, all right?
Yes.
Yeah, exactly.
Your comment.
Yes.
You have to comment. It might have been like a very, very lost mountain lion or
A
something.
very lost mountain lion. What are the odds?
Or
What are
maybe
the
it was
odds?
the ghost. Maybe it was the ghost of a very lost mountain lion.
Ah, ghost
I
animals.
mean-
Of course.
Oh my god. Okay, that was it. That's actually local legends is actually really cool, so I'm really glad that you brought that up, Nessie. But I actually want to bring up a very famous paranormal landmark here in the States, the RMS Queen Mary, located in Long Beach, California. So
Ah, yes.
So I'm currently on cntraveler.com, and I'm looking at this list, and the Queen Mary actually popped out to me because I've done a lot of research on the Queen Mary. It's okay, so fun fact, it was actually built by the same people who built the Titanic, and we all know how that played out.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So
Hmm.
just a coincidence that this boat is haunted? I think not. Okay, so here is what the Traveler had to say. Aside from a brief stint as a warship in World War II, the RMS Queen Mary served as a luxury ocean liner from 1963 to not 1963, 1936 to 1967. During that time, it was a site of at least one murder, a sailor being crushed to death by a door in the engine room, which is door number 13. And children drowning in the pool. The city of Long Beach purchased the ship in 1967 and turned it into a hotel, and it still serves that purpose today. Although the reported ghosts of the deceased passengers get to stay for free for an extra dose of spine sting, that's whatever. Okay, so the engine room is a hotspot for paranormal activity. There's a certain there are a bunch of rooms in that I can't remember which block of the ship it is, but there are specific rooms that are said to be extremely haunted, and the pool is extremely haunted because children drown there. We all know how children are with the paranormal. Oof.
Hmm.
So,
And cats.
Mhm.
yeah. So,
Hmm.
So there is that. I actually, um, and with this being a famous location, like like many paranormal investigators have been there. Many have claimed to have gotten evidence of like footsteps, knocking, voices. Some have seen apparitions in photos. So how would you explain that away? Is my only question.
Well, not to do that, I do have an unrelated question, by the way, as the paranormal noob here. If ships can be haunted, what about shipwrecks?
Potentially, yes.
Because the Titanic, I mean, is the Titanic's shipwreck haunted?
We actually wouldn't be able to
Well,
know that because it's stuck in the ocean.
Well, yes, but if we manage to get down there long enough to actually spend significant time in the damn thing,
well,
Well,
as
would
a
we?
as a point of possibility of shipwrecks being haunted, I may have a small story about something about that. If anyone would like to hear it.
Of course.
Okay, so without revealing exactly where I live, I am up near the Great Lakes in the United States. And up in Lake Superior, there are a lot of shipwrecks, one in particular called the Kamloops. And I just literally watched a video on this the other day. Divers who have been to that wreck have claimed that they have seen a spirit following them through as they're swimming through the wreck. They claim
Ooh.
it's one of the crewmates who when the ship went down in a storm, was stuck on the ship and obviously died there. And they say that he follows them through the ship as they're exploring it.
Water is actually also a pretty common theme in a lot of paranormal stories. I'll bring up another one here in a little bit. This is actually one that you guys might know because it was in the I think it was the Insidious franchise. No, no, it was it's from the Conjureverse. I will bring that up later, but I wouldn't actually be surprised if shipwrecks were haunted in that case.
Mhm.
Because like you think about it, a shipwreck is extremely tragic, and
Mm.
places with a lot of tragedy and trauma tend to be extremely active and haunted.
And
Well,
especially things like battlefields and cemeteries, where cemeteries are not always places of trauma per se, but if there is, a restless spirit out there who is buried and doesn't always. A lot of times, people say that you don't know that you're dead. So there might be spirits out there, especially who, feel that they have unfinished business, and for all that they know, they are still alive and can't understand what's going on around them.
Mm-hmm. That will be another point that we bring up. But going back to the Queen Mary, voices being heard. Is there any way to would there be any way to debunk that?
Well, I mean, not broadly.
Potentially
Was
your
like
brain playing tricks on you.
as case by case basis. Sometimes there are legitimate reasons to be hearing voices, and sometimes it might just be your brain. And the fact that you can imagine voices sort of makes any sort of hearing of voices suspect.
Mm-hmm.
But
Hmm.
again, I can't speak for every case here.
Mm-hmm.
If you give me a specific one, I might be able to be more specific.
Well, let's see here. I'll go ahead and look for that. But if you guys want to continue discussing, go right ahead.
Me.
Oh, okay, okay, go, go, go,
Spook
go.
wants to talk.
Okay, so this one you can kind of call it urban legend. Yeah, sure. Well, we can call it an urban legend that's around here. So Luca and I have discussed about this before briefly, and it's a fun topic. And we are talking about the old Alton Bridge in Denton, Texas.
One moment. You
Um,
guys continue.
so the whole story. Well, first of all, it's a historic landmark. It connects Copper Canyon, Texas, to Denton. So for me, I'm not gonna try to dox myself. That's about like I'd say like a 30-mile, 20-mile drive from where I live to there. But the whole legends surrounding that bridge involves an African American goat farmer who was murdered on that bridge at the hands of the local Ku Klux Klan. And legend goes, they lynched the farmer, and they kind of went over to see how he was. This is gonna sound bad. How he was hanging about, but when they looked over, the noose was empty and the body was just gone, disappeared completely. And legend continues that there have been alleged sightings of a ghost like apparition or just a bipedal apparition of a 7 to 8 foot tall entity with the head of a goat haunting the area. Um, and also, I think there was something about if you knock on the wood on the bridge 3 times, you may summon him.
Oh, are we talking
Now,
about the goat man?
yes, we are. Yes, we are.
Oh boy.
At the risk of
Now,
sounding like a cliche spook enthusiast, did Ghost Adventures go there at one point?
yep,
Yes, they
Okay,
you are
did.
cool.
absolutely right.
Okay, so it is the bridge I'm thinking of. Okay.
Yep, it is that exact bridge. A lot of investigators turn up in the area. Ghost Adventures in Investigation. BuzzFeed's Mystery Unsolved crew also decided to check out the area.
Yeah.
Um, Unfortunately, in both of those investigations, the ones that I can remember, there were no Goatman sightings, which is sad because I mean,
There
seeing
weren't any
something like that.
sightings, but there was I think one of the people on the Ghost Adventures crew actually got yeeted.
Yeah, one of them got yeeted, and another one fell violently sick
Mhm.
to the point that they actually quit the show after that episode aired.
Yeah.
Um,
Wow.
Oh my. I think I remember that, yeah.
yeah, did I forget to add that that place I think is also a hot spot for satanic ritual, satanic activity?
Yeah,
Oh
I
yeah, that
can't
does not
Hmm.
remember
surprise me.
I can't
Yeah,
remember who the I think it was like some kind of satanic cult leader who like brought his followers down there and they did like sacrifices or something like that. Like at least somewhere near the bridge. I don't think it was on the bridge.
yeah. There's a nearby forest where
Yep.
they started doing their activity there, and since the bridge is coincidentally near the forest, that could probably explain the whole quote unquote hauntings. Me personally, I love delving into the world of the spooky, be it, ghost stories, urban legends, real stuff. But I'm like literally in between the line. I'm interested in them, but I don't necessarily believe them,
Mhm.
you know, because, I mean, sure, people can still lie about, witnessing something. And me personally, I'm one of those, you know, I don't believe it till I see it type of guy. So,
Fair
Hmm,
enough.
Yeah, yeah.
Well,
understandable.
but
well,
yeah, but
talking about popular paranormal entities, I did bring up some it was either from the Insidious franchise or
Conjuring.
Conjuring. Yeah, I believe it La Llorona, otherwise known as the Weeping Woman. So,
Ooh, that
Ah,
legend
yes.
is way popular, especially in my familiar background.
yes.
That sounds like way too unspecific for a spooky figure.
Um
Isn't that
so
like a common symbol?
she is said to be in folklore she is said to be the embodiment of a grieving mother, I believe, if I remember correctly. So the basic premise of the story is that she married to some rich Spaniard and had two children, and eventually the Spaniard found another woman and she had her kids taken away from her, and in a fit of rage she dragged her kids to the nearby river and drowned them. And after she had realized what she'd done, she cried and drowned herself. And so the legend goes that she will lure kids to the nearest body of water and drown them to attempt to bring her own children back.
I'm not really seeing the logic in that, but
There is no logic to it, just as there is no logic to what happens when a mother is grieving the loss of her children.
well,
Fair
there's
enough.
some degree of logic, just very flawed.
Yeah.
Uh,
think
Yeah.
there is variations on that legend. From what I heard growing up, it was, the lady had two kids, married the Spaniard. Spaniard basically hated children overall, and to satisfy the husband, the wife went to a nearby lake, drowned the kids, and the husband found out, and he kind of got the hell out of Dodge. Which, I mean, duh.
Yeah.
I mean, would
Hmm.
you really be with a woman that just drowned her two children?
Oof.
So yeah, he got out of Dodge, and out of like spite, anger, uh, not out of spite, anger. Basically, just at that point, it was the literal turning point because she just drowned her two own, children, just to appease a guy who later ditched. So I guess from that point, she basically offed herself, and with the whole folklore about, some negative emotion keeping a person from moving on to the next life, they're still in planet Earth as a spirit or a ghost or whatever. And yeah, I mean, that's basically her shtick. She basically goes around wailing in Spanish, crying out for her children, and, you know, anyone nearby, be it a kid or an adult, may wake up with water in their lungs and 6 feet on the ground. At
Both at the
least,
same
Oof.
time?
yeah.
Yeah.
Essentially, they get drowned. Essentially,
Yeah, I know what you're trying to say, but I'm just imagining someone waking
both at
up
the same time.
with water in their lungs, 6 feet underground, but still somehow alive. I imagine that would be traumatizing.
Yeah, very.
That trauma is enough in and of itself. Um, I've already heard multiple stories growing up about La Llorona. My dad himself is also one who basically told me a tale about how he was hanging around with his siblings, heard a cry, and like I don't know if he saw out of the corner of his eye or if he directly saw it, but there was like a woman in white near the lake, and I think he managed to describe the whale. It was like so somber and so melancholy that it basically like almost made him pass out.
Mm.
And at that
Hmm.
point, everyone in that area, well, my dad and his siblings, they just said, we'll just go home and forget this ever happened. Yeah, we'll just do
Hmm.
that.
Hmm.
But yeah, that's basically the whole legend. They made a movie about it. We don't talk about that at all.
Hmm.
No, we don't.
Ah, I see.
As a non-horror movie watcher, I'm going to assume the movie was bad.
Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, that's basically the whole tie-in with the Weeping Woman.
Yeah.
And this is more based on like Hispanic culture wise, like anywhere in basically anywhere in Mexico. Like you could just hear different variations of the story and of like the woman, whether she was married or whether she was divorced or whether she was single, but they're
Mhm.
all gonna say, it's just a woman in white walking across like or walking along a body of water, crying out for her children.
Mhm.
Hmm.
Yeah, like general question, why is a woman in white such a prevalent symbol when it comes
Because
to ghosts?
it's a thing of like it's not necessarily like the woman in white. They say the woman in white because most of the time spirits appear as a white a white shadow is the best way to describe it. Like if you're seeing an apparition, they're going to appear like basically as a white shadow sometimes, and the whole idea of a woman in white is kind of just like, I guess you could say like an embodiment of that. I have no idea. I've only ever seen like shadow people as apparitions personally. I've never seen a woman in white. I've never seen like a child spirit. Though I have had experiences with a child spirit, I haven't actually seen one. But yeah, I can see where you're coming from with that. I don't know.
I would hazard a guess that the larger reason as to why the ghosts are generally white likely has to do with the light that the moon emits. If we assume general culture.
Yeah,
Hmm.
we can assume and we can like speculate, but it's like we don't really know. We can guess, but we don't really know. We're not experts here. We're just like
Yeah.
we're talking about stuff that
I
interests
mean,
us. Oh
Yeah,
my
maybe just
God.
whatever higher
One
being
moment.
is responsible for ghosts just ran out of ink or some shit.
Yeah. On that aspect of shadow people, there is the concept of doppelgangers, or an entity that looks identical to you. That one, again, I haven't seen any, like, shadows. I haven't seen any white apparitions or whatever. But the thought of seeing someone that looks identical to you in, like, what in the outside
If you
world,
don't have a twin, obviously.
unless, yeah, if you have a twin,
I-
sure.
Yeah, if
I've
you have a
had
twin, you probably see them every day. But
But I hear Nessie's.
I've had situations like this. So I had just finished taking a shower. Got out of the. It always starts like that. Got out of the shower. Was finishing up, washing my face, brushing my teeth, and I look up into the mirror, and in between the towels is a creepy face.
Did you have
A
your
creepy looking version of my face.
did you
don't
have your glasses
oh
on?
no.
I had my fucking glasses on at the time.
No. Oh, I
Ugh.
hate the mirror things. I hate the mirror things. That's
That-
like the only thing I'm
Mm,
actually
yes.
scared of.
I hate
Yes.
mirror things.
The
And
mirror
mirrors,
things
I
are honestly
nearly
terrifying.
I literally just jumped back and like fell on the ground and then like slowly crawled out of the bathroom.
Okay.
When my grandmother of course heard me fall and was like, "What the fuck was wrong?" I refused to tell her. However, has stuck in my mind.
Mhm.
Oh no.
Jesus.
Sounds terrifying.
Oh God.
It was.
That sounds like that Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds like an entity called a mimic there. And speaking of
Oh,
entities
mimics.
and speaking of
The mimics.
the mimics.
Mimics.
The mimics are
coming.
the mimics are the bane of everybody's existence, whether you play mortuary assistant, whether you play D&D, or you're a paranormal
Right.
investigator.
Well, like the friendly mimic, the one that sits in the corner of the room and is a trash can.
There's no such thing as a friendly mimic because they will always try to eat you.
Yes.
So D&D story, because literally I'm dealing with mimics in my D&D session.
Gross.
Legitly. Our ship is a mimic. We have 30 plus mimics around us, and there's a main mimic named Thomas who literally owns 45% of our ship.
Fun.
Wow.
When you say
We are
that, do you mean
Dealing with mimics.
economically, or he is 45% of your ship?
Economically, he owns 45% of the ship, and he is the leader of all the other mimics. And our ship itself is a mimic named Maria.
Fun.
That complicates
Goodness.
things.
Fascinating.
Dealing with
Wow.
mimics.
Fun.
Mimics are the bane of my existence. I
That is
hate mimics.
insane.
Okay.
I think we're getting
Um,
off topic a bit here.
But
Yeah,
I had to
it
bring
was
up the mimic
funny.
idea.
Yeah.
That was
but
funny.
I
That
just
it was a fun little deviation because mimics are in the paranormal sense. There's probably another technical term for it, but I call them mimics because they mimic. Or doppelganger. Doppelganger.
a German word. Hooray!
Doppelgangers. Doppelgangers are terrifying, and there's actually a legend that if you see your doppelganger, you will die. So
What?
Great.
I didn't know that.
yeah,
Oh,
because
hey, Nessie.
I didn't
How long ago
either.
was that?
because there is
Years
a
ago.
I think it has something to do with the premise of just like there can't be two of you, so there has to be
Hold up. You will die. Is there any form of time on that? Because I mean, you will die is technically always a true
What are the
statement.
parameters of this
I'm
function?
currently dying as it is.
Like, yes, I'm going to die eventually, but
I'm
Is
not
it something
sure if
like your
like-
doppelganger is like a matter-antimatter reaction or something?
yeah,
It's
You're
like
both
two
going to
different
die.
planes of existences that touch each other.
Pretty
that
much,
would make
yeah.
sense with mirrors too. That just when you look in a mirror, you're just looking at your doppelganger in a different dimension, and
Yeah.
they are looking at you.
I don't
Oh
I don't
no.
wanna think
Oh
about
no!
that.
Why would
I'm
you
gonna-
do that?
No, JH!
Wait, that means
I'm
you don't
gonna-
see yourself. Does that mean that vampires don't have doppelgangers?
Maybe.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
because they do.
I mean, they
Because
don't have a
If
soul,
the
so it would make
doppelganger is
sense.
dead, but
Actually-
the vampire still lives.
May I voice a theory here that I've heard? Because according to most people at least, vampires do not exist in our world. If we, however, believe in the doppelganger theory, that means vampires do not have a reflection because they do not exist in our world, so they don't have a doppelganger here.
So vampires are a projection from a third dimension.
Oh,
So vampires can't see themselves in the mirror because there is nothing on the other side for them to see.
That's an interesting theory.
Really
That
good
is
theory.
it.
That is
So
a
they-
pretty good
Engage
theory.
with the actual smooth brain response.
Smooth brain, excuse me.
See, this is why we bring JH everywhere.
Yeah, just also on the topic of mirrors, there was one particular video when I was like 12. I used to be into the paranormal too. I didn't really believe in it yet, but I found it interesting at least.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one video, which was just a recording of someone doing a bit of makeup in the mirror, then turning to the camera and having the mirror image just. still
I
looking
know that fucking
straight,
look
and
at
video.
then
them, yeah.
I know
and
that
just
video.
The mirror image turned to look at the camera too, and having these just black
Soulless
eyes and
eyes and
it
mouth.
looked it fucking traumatized me.
And
I was
me too,
12,
man. Let's
and
go.
I did not look at a fucking mirror for the next fucking week.
I was
Does
Oh,
nine.
anyone attempt
hurt.
Bloody Mary?
Oh god.
Oh, no.
I
No,
actually
not
did.
Bloody Mary. I
Well,
hate that
ironically enough,
game.
I did.
no.
I have.
Yeah, I did, and nothing happened because I don't believe in it.
Yeah, exactly.
I
Mostly
haven't.
just because my cousin believed in it, so I was like, you know what? Come with me. I'm gonna show you.
It's
that
like
this
I'm gonna
is
show you
bullshit."
right now, boy. This
Yeah.
is the real world, boy.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I did.
All right, so we're gonna move on to. I think it's now, since we're talking about doppelgangers, I think now is a good time to move on to cryptids. My personal favorite.
Yes.
And apparently it's Spook. So
Wait,
Well,
excited.
we know the excited one now.
we're gonna start with a fun one, since we were talking about mimics. If you are Native American, I recommend that you skip this because we were going to be talking about skinwalkers.
Oh.
Yes, baby.
The only thing I know about skinwalkers is people like making memes of them.
Yeah,
Yes.
because
Yeah.
it's just like whenever you see something weird, it's a skinwalker. No.
Oh, no.
No.
Also, on
No.
that point, I can interject really quickly that doppelganger is just German for double walker, so that's
Yeah.
also kind of close.
Same
in a way.
here.
Okay, so
Mhm.
so what is a skinwalker? I have no fucking idea. Yes, I do. What am I doing?
Did you really? I was about to say.
Hang
Luca,
on a
I
sec.
Do
think
not ask
skinwalkers
yourself
just told you
that.
to forget.
No, Spook, you know that I know shit about skinwalkers.
I know you know stuff
It's
about
standing
Skinwalker.
right
That's why.
behind you.
Ah.
Okay, so it's
Thanks for
okay,
that.
so this is
Thanks
a-
for that, JH.
okay, so okay, so a skinwalker. A skinwalker is a Navajo witch who has the ability to turn into, possess, or disguise themselves as an animal.
Do humans
Hmm.
count?
Yes,
I
they,
mean-
they actually appear humanoid sometimes.
I mean, we
It's
are animals technically, so.
Technic, yeah.
But then again, you're already a human, so why would you disguise yourself
As
a
another human.
because
Well,
it's
Plenty
kind
of
of
reasons
like,
to be a different human.
okay, so
Mm.
something with skinwalkers, they can appear as an animal or they can appear as a human, but there is always going to be something wrong with them. Like, say, you have a skinwalker
Is
that's
my internet
turning in.
failing?
Huh? No, you're good.
I
Yeah, I
know.
was
I-
wondering. I
I
just
didn't hear
checked, like,
Yeah,
anything.
kinda.
did the
Fart?
router explode?
I think the server just had a crash or
Did the
something.
server did the server have a crash? Are you kidding me?
Let me look at the debug stats.
Motherfucker.
Either that or your mic cut out, Luca, because you were talking and we were listening, and then I couldn't hear what you
It
were
just
saying.
completely
Yeah,
cut
me
out.
for
now.
now.
neither.
God damn it, internet. I think that was on my end.
Yeah,
So
it's paranormal people. They don't want us talking about them.
Oh
Yeah,
no.
I'm registering a
Oh,
large amount of
no.
packets lost from Luca.
Oh
Yeah.
no, god
Look, I'm
damn
about
it.
to vanish into thin air.
I vanished into thin
I
air.
think I
I
think
am
all
no
of us were
longer
silent for a
here.
good 10
I am
seconds,
no
thinking,
longer here.
"Is it me?"
Yeah,
Okay, so
it would have been way cooler if we had camera and then the camera just started flickering for a moment.
I would scare the shit out of you guys at that
Oh,
point.
yeah.
But no, like the thing is, like, not a lot is known about skinwalkers as an entity because the Navajos don't like talking about them. And there is a reason
Mm.
that they don't like talking about them because apparently, as with like a lot of these like Native American cryptids, if you talk about them, you bring them to you. I don't live in a
Mm.
skinwalker prone area, so I think I'm safe.
I think I should be safe.
Pretty sure yeah, I think.
If, JH, if they have a German skinwalker, tell them that I said hello.
What? Why would there be one over
Exactly,
here?
there is none.
There's
I'm just
none.
saying.
Well, what
Yeah,
if it's
like-
right behind me? I don't know.
Oh,
Ah, don't
God
say that.
damn
No.
it.
Now I'm scared.
I like JH is like, oh, let me just check right behind me, and everyone's just like, no, no, stop, stop, stop.
Look, as much as I like these things fucking terrify me because if they do exist, like there is no way to fucking outrun them. Like if they target you, it's kind of one of those things just like, oh, you're fucked.
Just have to accept your fate.
At that point, yeah.
All right,
it's-
take my life. Your
it's
problem
the
now.
Same, it's the same
Yep.
thing with Wendigos. If they catch,
Ooh.
yeah, if they
Hold on, before we move on to the subject of Wendigos, I was gonna add on too for the skinwalkers. There are like different variations of skinwalkers. I mean, yeah, I mean, Luke and I talked about fuck. What was the what were like the Norse warriors?
oh fuck,
The
Berserkers.
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 Yeah. So those are essentially warriors that basically charge into battle with wearing animal clothing. Like let's say like someone wearing like a wolf pelt, and apparently the opposing side, you know, they look at that and they're like, oh wow, it's a person embodied as a wolf. They're fighting like a wolf ferociously, standing their ground and whatever,
Yeah.
something like that. I don't
This is
remember, but I
actually-
think
That's
that could
actually
be
what
like a
the-
branch off of Skinwalker, and yeah, that's where the word berserk comes from.
Yeah,
Because
going berserk. It
Weren't,
comes from
like,
these.
weren't they also like high on mushrooms while they did that?
yes,
they-
exactly.
They definitely were.
Really?
And
Mhm.
it's actually not wolves that the berserkers are associated with. I seriously hope that I'm pronouncing that correctly. If I'm not, please don't kill me. So it's actually not wolves that they're associated with, if I remember correctly. It's bears.
Yeah, it's bears.
It's
Mm.
bears.
Because ferocious and shit. Wolves are not that impressive in the grand scheme of things, whereas a bear can 120% fuck you up if
Literally
you're
a
human.
Norse god based off
Yes.
of a wolf.
Yep.
Well, yes, but still, wolves, unless they're really fucking huge, are not that impressive against an armed human. Whereas bears can always fuck you up.
But yeah, I don't think that there have been, if I remember correctly, there have been legends of berserkers like fully embodying the animal that they are like
Transforming to or associating themselves
like
to.
fully transforming into a bear is what I'm trying to say.
Mm.
I think there have been legends of that. If not, please correct me, people, because I am big dummy brain.
But yeah,
Nah.
going back on the Skinwalker, so that's one point. Berserkers. Two, um, my mom actually did have stories about her hometown being scattered with actual like skinwalkers. The name over there, they call it a Nahual. 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 And it's basically skinwalker or witches that can turn into animals around my mom's hometown. And my grandma actually told me stories about her encountering an animal that was a bit more what's the word, menacing looking, than usual. I mean, God forbid, like imagine like her face when she saw an owl that was like 3 times the size of a regular I forgot what type of owl it was. But yeah, just
For
you definitely don't want to see like a 16, 17, 20 foot tall owl creature
for
just flying about in the darkness.
Nope.
let's give it
No
for
thanks.
let's give it for scale, like a barn owl, because barn owls are pretty tiny. They're pretty small owls. Imagine something like 15 times the size of a barn owl is what I'm
Yeah,
picturing.
mostly, yeah.
That's crazy.
Big.
Yeah, big, big.
I know that we're talking about cryptids, but the like I actually want to bring up a point of superstitions,
Sure.
especially involving owls.
Ooh.
Um so basically in Native American and Mexican folklore mythologies around that field, and please do correct me if I'm wrong, um the owl is usually symbolized as death or something relating to death.
Um,
Um
I'm trying to think
I
if that's
mean,
the
it's a
case.
predator, so
Well,
mhm.
usually owls are like associated with wisdom in
for
folk
reasons unknown. But
in folklore.
'cause
Yeah, I
owls
think
aren't actually
um,
smart. Like,
Well,
I always thought owls were more thought of wisdom because of the Romans and the Greeks with like Athena and all them. I didn't think it was a folklore thing. I thought it
yeah, I
was
think they
due to
just sort
the
of
myths of the gods.
oh,
mhm.
But
the
you are
again,
transmigrated over and shit.
you are
Yeah.
You
correct
already
about
talked about the fact that owls are dumb.
you you are
They
correct
are.
in that spook to the Navajo the owl is a bearer of bad news.
There we go. Something like that.
ah,
So I can share a personal story. I don't mind sharing it. I had an uncle who lived nearby in the state who passed away due to cirrhosis. This was back in COVID times. But I remember a phone call actually. I was like there in the living room and my mom had a phone call with my uncle. This was about a few years before he passed away. Um they're just talking about some random stuff, and all of a sudden on the other end, because my mom used to call on speaker so I could basically hear the convo, and all of a sudden I could just hear my uncle on the other end going, "Wow, that's a really big owl."
Oh.
And
Wow.
at that point, I didn't think much of it at all. Like I really didn't. Even after my uncle passed away, I didn't give it much thought until Luca and I were basically talking about our usual paranormal jazz, and we brought up the subject of owls and what they symbolize, and I started connecting the dots. I'm like, wait a minute, Luca, I had an uncle who actually passed away in a few years before he saw an owl on his porch.
Yeah. Yeah,
hmm.
I remember that conversation. That was like, oh
Mm,
god.
I'm like, okay, hmm,
Mm.
interesting.
Yeah.
I've only ever seen one owl in my entire life. So
Did somebody in your
How
family
are you
die
not.
still
after he
alive?
saw
I'm
it?
still alive, and my grandfather, who's the only other person who saw it, is also still alive.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's
In
good.
general, it was a very eerie encounter though, because we were just chilling in his living room, and I looked out the window, and there were a whole bunch of like, oh fuck, I don't know what the English name for them is. Like those birds who are like black and white and like shiny stuff. Um,
Black
Magpies?
magpies?
magpies, yes.
Yeah.
There's a whole flock of them chilling around the fence, and I'm like, what the fuck are they doing there? Like, and then I realized that's like, yes, that's the fence post, but that's not only the fence post. That's the fence post with a big ass owl on top of it, which with the
Gee,
same color. And I'm like,
Hmm.
holy shit, is that an owl? And my grandfather looks over and goes like, yeah, that is indeed an owl. So we open like the window door thing we have there and step out and onto the porch, and the owl sort of looks in our general direction. We take a few more steps, and suddenly it spreads its big ass wings, flies off, and the magpie swarm takes off as well. And then it just flies off into the trees, and we just look after it and wonder what the fuck was it doing there, and why were the magpies there?
mm-hmm.
Like,
that is very
Hmm.
eerie. Um
That is
like
very eerie.
that's actually pretty cool though. That's like
Yeah.
yeah,
eh,
I'm
Mm-hmm.
still confused what the magpies were doing there, because like an owl obviously is going to chill somewhere at some point,
yeah.
but why
But
are the
an
magpies congregating around it? It
Okay,
isn't shiny, so
okay, let's see here. Magpie spiritual meaning. Magpie brings luck, love, and lasting prosperity.
so were they like warding off the owl or something?
Could be.
Probably.
Potentially.
Potentially. I mean, if
Could
there was,
be.
I mean, owls are bigger than magpies, so maybe it took a shit ton of magpies to cancel out the effects of the
I
owl.
mean, I mean, my grandfather survived cancer somewhere around that time, so
Mm.
Look at
Oh,
that.
well.
there are connections to be made if you believe in them.
But there's still interesting connections nonetheless.
Yes.
Mhm.
All right. Shall we move on to another cryptid?
Oh my God, Luca, do
Sure.
you know that I have a whole shit ton of a list?
I
Well, we're gonna
I
add a side
literally
note. We're
I
gonna
would
add a
just
bit of a
say
side note.
this whole conversation made me realize that I didn't actually know if there were any potential like uh, roughly um local cryptids, and I have to say the list, while not impressive, at least some of the main ones, some of them are, I hate to say kind of funny, but they really kind of are.
Some of them
Apparently,
are.
if I may just say one, apparently there is a giant green squirrel that is seen around a certain town in my state. So just to throw in a bit of levity there.
That is true. Yeah, I can believe that.
A giant
Yeah.
green squirrel.
Yes.
Somebody was high as fuck.
Either that
Well,
or someone's pile of nuts went missing.
or that. Some of them are a little less funny sounding, but no less intriguing, and I'm very glad I looked this up. So,
Hmm.
Yes.
but that one, I was just like, yeah, I gotta tell everyone about that one.
Ah, watch out! There's a
Thanks for
green
telling us.
squirrel
There's
about
a-
the size of a car. Oh,
Well, actually,
Ah.
it says it's a legend of a squirrel so big it towers over the town's tallest hill, and its chilling chitters echo through the canyons.
Chilling
So,
chitters.
Godzilla?
yes.
Wow.
Sounds like a fan fiction level
Squirrelzilla?
alliteration. Like
Squirrelzilla, run!
I can just imagine like that as someone who's high as fuck calling the cops over this or some shit.
Yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Yes. Can you imagine that
Like there's
conversation?
this big ass squirrel outside the town. Like, okay, sir, anything else you could tell me about it? It's
It's
fucking green.
green.
Somebody get this man sober.
Mhm.
Like, I'm a believer, and I would say, yeah, somebody get this man off of the drugs.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah.
okay, so what were you gonna bring up, Spook?
So, me growing up, I loved reading about cryptids. Anything underneath the sea and the skies on planet Earth.
Were you a big
It's just,
fan of Bigfoot?
don't call me out like that.
Oops.
Whoops.
I'll be out like that.
I had to. Come on now.
I mean, it's a staple in being like an
is.
interesting cryptids. Like if you,
Look,
if
Spook, in calling you out, I have called myself out, okay?
yeah, that's
Bigfoot
fair.
is
Fair.
Bigfoot is the thing. At pretty much everywhere there are woods, or at least large amounts of woods. I'm pretty sure someone would be like, "Oh yeah, I saw a Bigfoot." Sorry.
Yeah, pretty much.
Getting off topic. My apologies.
You're
Go for it.
good. But that's the thing, though. It's just the fact that there's something more than just a 8 foot tall, hairy looking gorilla. It's just that there could be the possibility of more creatures that could be out there. Because, like, obviously, talking about the sea, what's the percentage that we've already discovered? Like 7%, 8%
4%.
of the ocean.
4%.
That
I
yeah.
believe.
5 to
Do-
7, I
uh,
think. Yeah,
Do I
somewhere
need
in
to
there.
pull out
Definitely low.
the creepy squid again?
No, don't bring up the creepy
What?
squid, please.
Which
no.
one? The colossal squid or
No,
the
the
kraken?
Yeah.
Magna squid.
No,
First
This
of
is
all,
a new one.
incredibly funny name, but also it's a squid that has like 10 to 12 legs that are like, I think, 12 feet long, and it
Oh,
just
my
drags
goodness.
them across the
Wow.
ocean floor
No.
and just floats along
Oh.
the ocean floor like that and collecting food.
I
And it
hate
looks
it.
Wow.
It looks so
ludicrously creepy.
it's
Like,
so creepy. This
I
makes
actually want to see a
Oh,
sense.
picture.
I
No!
kind
Do
of
I
do
want
too.
to
I
see?
have a picture. One sec.
Like,
Please
I
do send
I
it.
know it's gonna freak me out, but at the same
Yeah,
time, curiosity
Curiosity
is
does kill the
One
cat.
exactly.
sec.
yeah,
I'll have a
but
picture for you in just
satisfaction
a
brought
minute.
it back to
Like,
finish
like
the
I'm.
quote. But
Here
yeah.
you go. That's from the camera of an oil rig at around 3,000.
Oh, I've seen
No
that
shit.
one.
I hate it.
Yo,
It
is
looks
this
so
Subnautica?
cool.
It's
No.
Subnautica.
It looks
I'm
like
kidding.
it
Look
looks
at
like
those
something out of
tentacles.
Subnautica. Oh god, I hate it.
Oh my
The
goodness.
creepiest
Damn.
part is just that four of them are just like extend outwards before
Sorry, is
going
that a
down.
real thing or?
Yes, that's
That
a
is a real
real
thing.
thing.
That's off an oil rig, you said?
Yeah,
That's
that's
so
a
cool.
camera on an oil rig.
Holy crap.
Well, sorry, someone re-explain to me what that is.
It's called a Magna Pina squid.
I know. I heard the maturity radiating out of Tony. I heard it.
I have to have back. Thank you.
I hate it. I hate it so much.
That
It's also known as a big thin squid.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
so
what the
if you
name
guys are
means in
if
Latin.
you guys are easily disturbed, do not look up Magnapina squid.
This
Okay.
is actually cool
For a
looking.
slightly less creepy version of that, a slightly less creepy image of one of those things is this is when they're just
Ooh.
swimming around and not looking for food.
Okay, yeah, that's
okay,
The
that's
act-
not as bad.
that's not
Yeah, that
as
just
That's
looks
bad,
not as
weird.
bad.
Yeah.
but that one on the oil rig, ugh.
Oh man. Mm-mm. Legitimately, when my parents and when my family and I went to Key West on vacation, we went snorkeling, and I got scared when way off in the distance while snorkeling, I spotted a shark. I don't want to
Yep.
even think about something like that
Oh.
swimming around near me. Like, not
Especially
even gonna
underneath
lie.
you.
Oh, shut up!
Ugh.
Shut up,
Shut up!
shut up,
Shut up!
shut up, shut up.
There's that fear. There's that fear. I smell that fear, Dragon. I smell it.
Yeah,
Shut
yeah.
up, Spook. Oh my god, this is why we invite you to shit.
Exactly.
Just be glad there aren't any Reaper Leviathans in the ocean.
Oh,
Oh yeah. Oh no.
Fuck you!
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I have
Wow.
played so much Subnautica, that thing still terrifies me when it
I can
sneaks
imagine.
up on you. I don't
Mhm.
care
Never,
how
that will never
nothing
not.
50 meters long should be allowed to sneak up on anything.
That's how it
Oh,
looks like on video. Holy fuck, those are some long tentacles. Jesus fuck.
That's what
Jesus.
she said.
Jesus Christ.
Again, a tentacle length of about 12 feet for scale.
Oh.
Fuck.
God, you were not kidding. That's a creepy ass squid.
Yeah, so
Yeah, that's just one of the things you can find down there, you know?
so yeah,
Ugh.
real life cryptid. There you go, Magnapina squid.
Hee hee. Moving
I'm
on.
sure if someone found one of
So-
those things in the Middle Ages, they'd be traumatized.
I think we broke
I think
Nessie.
we broke Nessie.
So, okay, I zoned out.
Of
Not
course you did.
gonna lie, because
Don't
that's
worry
what
about
I
it.
do on Saturdays. And
Yes,
I
you
just
do.
got
No
back to
worries.
the conversation with penis squid.
See, I told
Magnapina
you.
squid.
I fucking told. I was actually about to say, if this doesn't wake up Nessie, nothing will. I was actually about to mention that.
So no, I think my brain subconsciously remembered that we were doing this weekend because I was watching. There was a YouTuber who is not
Oh,
part of the YouTube community anymore, named Kaylee Elise, who did a lot of stuff like this, and I was specifically watching one of her videos about the four of the creepiest noises ever recorded, and a few of them were from under the ocean, and
There
some
you
of them
go.
are just
Oh, yeah,
some of them
those,
a lot of them, and I will freely admit this, a lot of them have decent scientific explanations for what they could be, but a couple of them you just listen to and you're like, that does not sound like anything I've ever heard in my life.
yeah.
So, you know.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've heard some of those as well. Have you heard, like, knock, like the beluga whale?
Mhm.
No, I
Because
don't think so.
Those
I have.
can, yeah, those can, by, like, blowing air through their nasal cavity, they can sort of mimic something that sounds like human speech.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
I
It's
think
like
I
if it-
think I have heard about that
Yeah,
actually.
it sounds about
I
as
think I
much
did
as human
too.
speech, like if you try to imitate a language without understanding it. Like you might get the general sound right, but it won't
Mm.
actually sound like anything specific. And
Yep.
that's what they can do. And they've scared a lot of people with that because they
Yeah.
had tried to communicate with the weird people in the water. But because
was
it sounds
actually-
so uncanny, people are just
Yeah, but it's actually a beluga whale blowing
I just
blowing air through their nose.
I just imagine like someone swimming in like beluga whale territory. They get near one, and all of a sudden, like they do their blowing through the snout, and all of a sudden you hear, "Hola, buenos días. ¿Dónde está la biblioteca?"
Or you just like
It's
you
just
hear, or
funny.
just like you hear something that sounds like a child, just like hello.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah,
oh
that's the
no.
creep.
Apparently,
that would
they
be
That's
actually
creepy.
do
worse.
sound like children sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
Delightful.
Worse.
Look, I don't. Okay, okay. While we're on the subject of children, I did mention that I'd had an experience with a child spirit, even though I've never seen a child spirit. Oh, hello. Um, so my my aunt, my cousin, and one of my in-laws, they all live in the same house, and they have a kid. Um, they have a kid, and they're a 1-year-old, my little nephew. Um, and there is a child spirit that lives in that house, an 8-year-old named Charlie, and
Hmm.
Charlie likes to fuck with you. like
Hmm.
let me tell you, anytime that I have gone over to that house and I have felt like hands on my legs, just like kind of grabbing at my clothes. I have heard
Mm-hmm.
little tiny feet just running around the back of the house, and there are times like my sister-in-law has told me, yeah, there have been toys moving around in your nephew's nursery, and I'm just like, shit, maybe you should tell Charlie to stop.
Hmm. Yeah, no, my mentor actually she one of her youngest actually died in a fire when he was little, and she says that his spirit has followed her to her new house. And she has a some bells that she's hung up in her house, and every once in a while they'll start ringing. And I know what the skeptics are going to say: wind, movement, whatever. But one of the times I heard it, there was absolutely nothing moving. Like we were just kind of sitting there, and all of a sudden, ting ting. I was like, oh, hello. And that was when she told me about him. And sometimes I hear like a little high pitched giggle that kids do, and it's like, "Hi Sam, nice to see you. I know you're here." So yeah, I get the whole kid thing.
That actually brings me to another. I know we're in cryptids, but let me just deviate back to the urban legends. I'm gonna just say 4 words and look them. I know, or anyone who delves into urban legends, especially Mexico.
No, don't say it.
Isla de los Muñecos.
Oh, I fucking hate you. No.
Island of the Dolls.
Fuck you.
Oh no.
Oh
Ah,
yes.
yes. Humanity's
Oh
eternal fear
no.
of
Hell
fucking
yeah.
dolls.
When
Mhm.
Spook.
I was younger, my family thought it was okay to get me porcelain dolls when I had a fucking fear of
Okay.
dolls and mannequins.
Oh
There's a
man.
reason I never had dolls growing up.
You guys wanna? Okay, you guys are gonna like freak out when I show you this picture, cause
No, yeah, I've already seen it, and even though it is a
All
bit
right, bring
eerie,
it
but
on. We've
these
already seen
no
the
these
gigantic squid. Let's
we've
let's.
seen we've seen a gigantic squid. There.
Yep,
That's
seen it.
there you
Oh
go.
god.
What
Oh.
There
the?
you go.
yep.
What?
That is a
Oh
picture
That is the
taken.
island.
Yep, that is the island,
That
and
is the actual island.
that is
Yep.
only one section of this island, and
Oh my goodness.
so the legend goes, there was a guy who, I think it was like he lost his daughter, and
yeah, I think
he
that's correct.
I think, correct me if I'm wrong about this, but he saw her spirit, and her spirit left this doll on the shoreline, and ever since that he's just been collecting dolls and leaving them on this island.
In tribute to his daughter, mostly.
Yes. And the main doll the doll that she Fuck you,
Thanks,
JH.
Oh my god.
JH. Thanks,
Fuck you.
I
JH.
jumped
Fuck
out of my
you.
chair.
Fuck you, JH. Oh my
What the hell
god.
did JH
Well,
do?
it's
Check
thematically
the.
appropriate, isn't it?
No. Okay,
What did he
so
say? What did he send?
look
Ooh,
in
go
Check
check
the.
yourself.
look in the
In
mute
the
Go,
chat.
mute
Oh, go fuck
chat.
yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
Damn it.
I know that. Classic. Classic.
God. I am
Oh.
repulsed
That's
by
a
this.
classic.
I am repulsed by this. Anyway, but yeah, it's just like the main doll is like in a shrine surrounded by a fuck ton of other dolls, and supposedly that doll is the most haunted out of all of them.
It is.
Hmm.
Let's set aside the fact that there's actual like like the ghost of the girl that drowned. There's a shit ton of dolls that are like, and some of them headless, some of them porcelain, some of them electronic, and God forbid you're in the island in the nighttime and all you see or all you hear is a doll just going off in the middle of the night.
Oh yeah.
No.
Oh yeah.
Tony!
Oh yeah.
Like,
Oh my God,
no!
Tony.
No, that was me.
What?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Fucking Tony.
No, Tony posted a no. Tony posted a meme. Also, but yeah, you just hear like one of these dolls going up, just like.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
Nope.
Get me out.
Nope,
Get me out.
Get me
I
off this
actually,
island.
that's actually my bucket list to actually check out that island.
But the
Even
thing
if it's
is,
just like
but
30
the thing
minutes.
is,
Can you
supposedly,
imagine? Like,
supposedly the batteries in all of these electric dolls are dead.
Are long dead.
wouldn't it be even worse if it were like dying batteries, so it's really distorted?
A
Oh.
haunted, distorted cry.
Oh.
Ugh, I hate the idea of that. Just like
And like, what if they
Nothing is
sing?
worse when they
They
start
sing
out
on
normal,
low
then they
battery.
start
Sing.
dying in the middle of it.
No.
No, I hate that. I hate it.
Oh. Well,
They
look at
just
that.
slowly start dying.
Fuck you, Jake.
Jer-
Duérmete, niño, duérmete ya.
Oh God.
Mm.
No! I know this is supposed to be a spooky episode, but fuck all of you!
Well,
Sure,
I
if you got
mean,
the stamina for it.
I've got a childish legend from my state as well. They're melon heads, apparently.
Melon
Oh my
heads.
god!
These 4-foot-tall, bulbous-headed humanoids allegedly lurk in the woods. According to stories that have been told, they're hydrocephalic children who killed and ate the doctor who mistreated them, and now live in underground tunnels, occasionally emerging but never being photographed. Apparently, they also have cousins in Connecticut and Ohio. This might be a satirical, slightly site. I think most of the information is what they've collected, but they seem to be throwing in some satirical stuff too. So I'm not sure if that last sentence is true or not.
Probably
But
not.
yeah.
Although, like, I'm trying to also think of another like cryptid that we could discuss. That's like,
There's
oh,
just so many of
There are
them.
so
honestly.
many.
oh, here's a fun one that's actually extremely popular with everybody, and especially with Twitter. Mothman.
Yes.
The
Mothman.
Mothman. The Mothman. This
Man.
motherfucker is so
Oh,
fucking creepy.
personal experience or just in general,
Just-
Luca?
The way they look.
Just in
The way they
general,
like-
the way that
okay.
he looks is just so fucking creepy. I hate it. Like, he's supposedly like almost twice as tall as a normal human with a massive
Pardon.
fucking wings. You're fine. With a massive fucking wingspan, huge ass bug eyes, and I'm just no. I hate.
Nope.
I hate.
I think there were
bugs to
some
begin
artist
with.
depictions talking about those eyes glowing red in the dark.
Yes.
Yeah.
There have been
I'm
eyewitness
obligated to
accounts
share
that
this.
supposedly
Yeah.
corroborate that. Also
What?
Tony? Yeah. Why
Yay,
is
the
that-
Mothman YMCA.
Okay,
Hell yeah.
that's okay.
Finally.
That's actually fucking cute.
That is adorable.
Okay, I'm gonna. Oh, that looks cute. Okay, I thought it was gonna be something scary. So.
Be like, all right, let's
didn't
just
Okay.
Mothman is a really interesting story considering the time period that what was it? West Virginia or Virginia? The
West Virginia.
sightings. West Virginia.
Yep, West
Yeah.
Virginia. You hardly
West-
ever see anything in Virginia, probably because people are scared of it. Well, no,
Fair enough.
No, well, no, not
Mhm.
true. You see things in the mountain regions of Virginia. You don't see anything in the coastal area.
Fair enough.
Hmm.
Actually, yeah, that's fair. But yeah, the time period that it showed up, the sightings, and then the horrific bridge collapse that happened, and all of a sudden the
Yes.
sightings just stopped altogether.
Yeah, didn't
Coincidence?
you know? Who can say?
Possibly.
Mm, mm, mm. I think
Yeah,
one
didn't
particular
didn't a lot of people say that was they were like, "Oh, it was a portent of doom that this bridge was gonna collapse. That's why it
yeah,
showed up." That sort of.
yeah, basically that was the theory that, once the collapse happened, there were no more sightings literally
Mm.
after that incident. And it was a sad incident too. I mean, obviously
Mhm.
Yeah.
people lost their lives,
Mhm.
especially with the collapse. But I think I remember one particular eyewitness report that came from Mothman was a couple that were just camping out in the woods. Then they see a 12-foot tall humanoid creature with wings in the darkness. They freak out, get into their car. They start driving. I don't know what's their recorded speed. I think it was like 45, 50 miles per hour on their car.
Would make sense.
The passenger literally turns around and they still see the creature catching up to them in the air.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's crazy.
Yeah. The idea of that to me is just like fucking terrifying.
In the middle of night, no less.
In the middle of the night.
That's
Oh.
even worse.
In the middle of
And
night.
if the red glowing eyes are accurate, that would make it 10 times worse.
Yeah, and if you try to dispute it with being like, oh, it could have been an aircraft, blah 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 blah. When have you ever seen an aircraft with like red lights? I don't think that's
Near its
Every
body.
single
Like,
aircraft
like-
I've ever
On
seen
the
had
wings,
red lights
maybe?
on it.
like on the wings. Also, if it was an aircraft, you would be able to tell, cause
Whoosh.
Well, if you're inside, not necessarily, but
like,
True.
but like if you see it, there's just like
Hmm.
I don't fucking know, man. I don't know, man. Mothman to me is just like fucking. Ugh.
Creepy.
wait,
That's
to
all.
be fair, aircraft are more likely to be confused with like UFOs or some shit. than
Yeah.
with
There we go.
fucking
Yeah.
Mothman.
I was about to
And,
say.
yeah.
I mean, that reminds me of the story where someone living close to a military base saw what he thought was a UFO and signs of an impending alien invasion. And the poor guy, the military decided it was a better idea to tell him, "Yes, you're correct. Keep reporting to us. Don't tell anyone else about this." To for operational security, they thought that would be a better idea to keep the secret, and it drove the man mad.
Hmm.
I'm guessing it did, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with something like that, yeah.
Mhm. All right.
Don't fly your secret projects over civilian airspace.
All right. Moving
Yeah.
on to a lesser known cryptid. Actually, has anybody here ever heard of a knot deer?
No.
Oh
No.
God.
I heard it, but I have no
Oh,
fucking
God.
clue what it is.
Okay.
No, I'm intrigued now.
Okay. You guys are gonna have fun with this.
I already did.
Yeah, you already you already know what this is.
Oh, I definitely know what this is.
You already know what this is.
Super intriguing. Super intriguing.
It's fucking creepy. So basically, what a knot deer is, it's a disfigured deer with human intelligence and apparently an appetite for humans. This is what they look like, supposedly, or at least this is what one of them looks like.
Whoa.
And in one story, a person described it as having its knees turned around backwards.
What?
Its knees
You
turned
can see it in the
around.
front legs.
So,
Yeah,
You can
its
see
the
it on the
right
front
way around
legs.
for humans?
Yeah.
yeah, its
Mhm.
knees turned around backwards. Its head could turn 360 degrees, and it was smiling.
Oh.
Well,
So
just see a deer in the headlights, like, "Hey, deer, get out of the way." Turns its back to you, and then it does a whole owl spin to look at you.
and then just
I mean,
smiles
deers
at you.
do
Nope.
not have the
Nope.
facial structure to support smiling normally, but that
Mhm.
already would
Oh.
make it creepy because that's
Are we getting an
not
axo?
how deers
Are we
are
getting an
supposed to work.
axolotl man?
Yes, we are.
Hello.
Hi, love.
The
Hello.
Hi.
axolotl has joined.
We're talking about
Ow.
very, very wholesome things.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Good morning.
Good morning. Yeah, it's totally wholesome, totally not creepy at all. I'm kidding.
Yeah,
You're
we
probably...
definitely didn't scare the hell out of each other. Absolutely
Mm.
not.
Oh
Yeah,
no,
It's a
No.
cryptid.
we're
totally
none of
wasn't
us.
on purpose from me. Like,
I'm
None
sitting
of
here
us.
perfectly comfortable.
None of us are
Wait,
gonna
who?
have nightmares
Hold on, who just
tonight.
breathed down my neck? I'm by myself. What the fuck?
Fuck
Mm.
off, Spook.
Oh, that's just Barry. Ignore
If I
him.
actually have a paranormal experience during this fucking podcast, I'm going to like shit myself.
Like, how often do I have to say right behind you before something is actually there?
Something is actually behind you. Oh,
See,
it's just a door.
nothing can technically be behind me, so I would be concerned because it would have to be on the fucking ceiling.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The
Ew.
second you
There
the
can't
second
be
you stop
anything behind
looking
Behind
me
fighting
either
silence.
It
because
just pops
I'm
out
an
again.
upset.
like, I'm just gonna keep saying it, and the first time you're not going to check is when something will actually be behind you.
Fuck you.
That is true.
Yeah.
Oh no.
I guess I'm not gonna sleep
I'm gonna
tonight.
I'm gonna
I
have to
guess
Now
no.
you
fuck you.
cannot win anymore.
Sleep is for the weak.
I'm
I
already
guess
like
now lost.
I'm already in like a blanket with hot chocolate in the hand. I'm just it's all warm and fuzzy talking about spooky shit.
I mean,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that's a not deer. Not deer are
Ugh.
fucking terrifying.
Yes.
I have never seen a not deer, and I wouldn't like to not see a not deer. Thank you very
It
much.
could either be something. What the fuck?
Well-
What do you?
Oh,
I'm in your
you're a man
walls.
of
I'm in your
culture,
walls.
Tony. You are a man of fucking culture.
Yep.
Oh my god, I love this.
Oh man.
I am in your walls.
It's just that the audio
Babe, I wish
balancing
you
is
were
done
in my
incredibly
walls.
well. Every time
It
that
is done.
happens, I stare at my door.
Okay.
Yeah, please do watch
Oh.
that. Like.
Okay.
Oh,
Do we
well,
Moving on to
on the
another
subject
cryptid.
of weird looking cryptids, I've got another one for you guys if you want.
Sure.
Shoot,
Sure.
shoot.
Please.
Okay. So, anyone who hears this who might be Native American or whatever, I apologize if I
Do we have
mispronounce
Native
this.
Americans?
Oh, we do? Oh, okay.
Do we? I was like,
Well, whoever might listen to this in the future then.
I'm-
Anyway,
I'm
a
a small-
Mishi.
I'm a small percentage of Cherokee, but like,
Okay, so this creature is called, as best I can get to it, a Mishi Peshu. Known in some circles as the underwater panther or great horned water lynx, it is a Native American legend and a manifestation of an evil spirit. It existed to protect sacred copper deposits and was blamed for sinking ships laden with the metal. Pictographs of it show an unholy cross between a big spiny iguana and a mountain lion with antlers.
ew.
Ooh.
There are no pictures that I can find with this article, so I can't like show what supposedly they look like. But I just was reading that and I was like, oh, well,
Interesting.
that is not something I would like to meet in the middle of the night.
Especially in water.
Yeah, especially in water.
Whether you're in a boat or you're swimming, there's a
Yeah.
8-foot long panther just lurking about
Ugh.
underwater.
Nope.
No, thank you. Okay. Shall we move on to another classic cryptid, the one that a lot of people would know about, the Wendigo?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, not the
What exactly is the Wendigo actually? Because at this point I've gotten so many conflicting sources of information
Okay.
that I don't even know
So,
anymore.
the Native American iteration of the Wendigo describes the Wendigo as a tall, lanky, pale figure with claws, teeth, like really, really sharp teeth, and huge black eyes that don't reflect light.
void.
Just a void of
Mm.
darkness. And with an insatiable hunger for human flesh. Now, the reason for this is, during the dead of winter, naturally people would be hungry, especially if the harvest was not fruitful that year. So they would have to make the decision to either starve to death or consume a dead loved one. And if they consume said dead loved one, then an evil spirit will inhabit their body and begin the process of turning them into a Wendigo. And they will be so
There's
hungry.
more than one.
I think there is.
Yes, there is more than one.
Good.
because
It's
Mm.
more like a race of beings rather
it's
than an
Exactly.
individual
Mhm.
cryptid.
yes,
That's worse.
That
yes,
is
Mhm.
worse.
it's
I
very
am
much worse.
told, though I don't know all that much about it because I haven't actually seen the show, but I'm told the TV show Hannibal played with the concept of a Wendigo very well.
I think so, yeah. I would
Because, I
have
mean,
to look.
cannibalism,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it's actually said to be that's actually what it's said to be the embodiment of. It's said to be the embodiment of like hunger during the dead of winter,
Hmm.
and basically and the reason that its lips are torn up and like it does this thing doesn't have any lips. The reason is because it gnawed on its lips to the point where it had none left because it was so hungry.
Oof.
So
Beautiful picture.
it's a lovely picture of something, and
Mhm.
I absolutely hate these things with a burning passion. I have never seen one, and I am very glad to have never seen one because oh my fuck, this is another one, babe.
I have seen one, and I've told you about that.
Fuck, you have. Oh,
You have?
You've seen one?
I'm surprised that you were still alive.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah, that was a good time.
Do you want
No,
to?
it wasn't. That
do
was a
you-
lie.
No
Did-
kidding. Imagine
Do you
I
want
seeing
mean,
an
to?
evil manifestation of a cannibal out of nowhere. Like, oh, hey, it's just
Do
Bob,
you
this guy who's about to
um?
gnaw out your insides. He's just friendly.
Do you want to tell the story, love?
So, story time.
Yes.
I this is a very short story, I promise. I'm driving in my car. I I see something off to my left, and I'm like, "Oh, is that a deer?" Because I live in a place where deer are rather commonplace. Bear in mind, it is the dead of night. I'm talking 1, 2 in the morning. Um, pitch fucking black. And then I see the face, and I pedal to the floor. I'm glad they can't run 100 miles an hour.
damn.
Yeah.
So yeah, fleeting encounter, but I did see one.
That is
Yeah.
crazy.
I'm surprised that oh god. Like that the idea of them just ugh. I never want to see one. I never want to encounter
Mm-mm.
one because it's actually
disgusted
this
noise.
is actually another one of those cryptids that if you encounter it, like if it sees you, you are dead.
Unless you're in a car already.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Then put the pedal to the metal and
Then get the fuck out of there.
Yeah.
rev the
Mhm.
Get
fucking engine and
the
let's go.
fuck out of there. So yeah, Wendigo is a very much a staple in the in cryptozoology,
Mhm.
and it's kind of one of
All
those
of
things where it's like there are so many iterations of it. It's just like, of course, you obviously know the one that has like the deer skull with the
Mhm.
antlers. This isn't the actual Wendigo. The actual iterations of Wendigos, like if as told by Native Americans, are 1,000 times more terrifying.
Mhm.
quick question, by the way. Would you consider a cryptid more terrifying if it just was entirely silent the entire time, or if it had like the classical shrieking
That's
noises?
how Wendigos hunt, actually. They stalk. They stay silent. And then
Aren't
they
they supposed to also
lure.
mimic voices?
They can mimic voices. They
You
can
know,
mimic
it's funny
voices.
how you're describing things that humans are also normally terribly good at. You know, persistence hunting, mimicking,
Mhm.
and whatnot. It's just like, hey, Wendigo is just a powered up human.
Yeah, it's a cannibal
Hmm.
essentially, except like a cursed cannibal.
A
A Super Saiyan cannibal, basically.
pretty much, yeah.
Hmm.
Yes,
But yeah.
of course.
What
And
if
like
you made your entire life about being a cannibal? Welcome to being a Wendigo.
welcome to being a Wendigo.
Eesh.
Wendigo, people who think cannibalism is their entire personality.
Ugh.
Oh,
Ugh.
Jesus.
I think
Ugh.
we
And
I
our
think we
entire
have
biology too.
I think we have offended so many of Native Americans.
You probably have.
Yes.
We're just
You
goofing
Well,
might want to put a
around. We don't
disclaimer when you.
we're
yeah.
just goofing. We don't mean to offend at all. This is like we are
We make
The
the same
poor,
speculating.
jokes about our own stuff too, don't worry.
Yes.
the
Uh
poor
huh.
ignorant
We,
Europeans and ex-Europeans. Um,
Yep.
I can call Americans
Ex-European.
ex-Europeans, right? Because
ex-Europeans, ignorant ex-Europeans.
Yeah.
Colonizers.
Colonizer.
Colonizers.
at least I'm still here.
Happy Happy 4th of July, you ungrateful colonists.
But
It's
yeah.
actually not called. It's like, what day was it? It wasn't called 4th of July anymore. Something or Independence Day. It was
Ind-
called something.
yeah,
It's
that
called
one.
something
Sorry.
else. It's called something else now.
Funny how one of the biggest holidays in the world is celebrating that they're no longer part of the UK.
Oh god. Okay. All right. I think we've kind of exhausted all conversations about the paranormal. Shall we move on to true crime?
Wait,
Sure.
wait, I do have another
Sure.
Wait.
story
Oh,
about the
hang on.
paranormal.
Hang on.
Well, I actually meant to share this when we were talking about witches, but I was trying to find a good leeway. So, this is an actual true story of what actually happened. Um, and then I'll leave that up to y'all, but this is just coming from my own two eyeballs with glasses behind them. So, there is
You have
actually.
glasses behind your eyeballs?
I know, right? Yeah. Yeah, I'm not going to share a selfie right now because I don't want to disturb y'all.
Yeah, let's not do that. We're already
Yeah.
disturbed enough. I'm sorry, Spook.
All right. So, basically, there was a time period where my whole family just started experiencing some really weird, random shit. Some coming from the mundane, and then others like to like really creepy. So I think my little sister, because basically it's my family is just me, my two parents, and my two younger siblings. So um, for me, what happened is there's a time period where I would wake up and I would find scratches all over my arms and legs. Now, bear in mind, I'm not the type to like scratch myself in the middle of the night. I still don't do that. Most I do is just toss and turn, and that's it. So imagine like 16, 17-year-old me waking up in the morning, ready to go to school, and you see like those those generic three scratch mark things
Hmm.
going across your arms, and then you get up, look down on like your left leg, like around your calf, and you see more markings there, and you're like,
Concerning.
interesting.
Weird.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So that was with me. My little brother, I think I don't know if he said he was like having a dream or if he was like semi awake, but he sleeps like in the top bunk bed, and there's like a little gap between the wall and the bed, and I think he kind of like turned over, and he kind of caught like a little glimpse of like the little opening, and he said that through that opening, he said he saw like a little girl in the gaps like staring at him,
Ooh.
Ooh.
and I mean, he never told
Oh.
much. He just said that. He just said like there was like a little girl in the gap, and he never talked about it at all. He just said that description, and I didn't want to push it because he told me that. I'm like, yeah, I'm not gonna ask for more details because
Yeah.
no. Um, my little sister didn't have anything, which is weird.
Hmm.
But with my parents, that one was like much. This is like it's like literally something out of a Conjuring movie plot. With my mom, she said that she was like starting to wake up, like getting out of a dream, and out of the corner she saw like a mass, like just a black mass, just floating in the corner. And while she was like slowly waking up, she was like kind of like opening her eyes. The black mass literally just lunged at her, like
Oh.
in the blink of an eye. Yeah,
Oh.
What the
Oh.
heck?
and yeah, like that happens, and mama just like completely wakes up, like startled. Apparently, wakes up my dad, and you know It's just how else are you gonna react when you see a huge mass literally jumping on top of you while you're waking up?
I mean,
I mean, yeah.
nope.
And
Oh.
then with my dad, this one still stuck to me to this day because I don't know how the fuck. With my dad, I guess he was also like in the middle of like asleep, and he was like slowly waking up just to like go to the bathroom or something. And the way the bedroom is faced is like there's like the regular bed, and like literally in front of the bed, not really in front of the bed, but like on the opposite side on the wall of the bed, there's like obviously we have our TV. So he wakes up, right? He's like in the middle of waking up, eyes have closed, and in the screen he sees, and this is his words, not mine. He sees a like the whole screen is just covered with a red scowling face with like glowing orange eyes.
Ugh.
My
Whoa.
goodness.
Yeah.
Like he just like sees that out of like in the middle of waking up, and then again startles, wakes up, all that jazz, and yeah,
I can add something onto that in a way.
yeah, go for it.
Because again, here comes the inner cynic again. Because I have something similar, though way less weird for me. Sometimes, pretty rarely, but a handful of times at this point, while I'm in the process of waking up, in the middle of the fucking night, because sometimes you do that,
Mhm.
Sometimes I open my eyes and I just see, like, right over me or over my body in the bed, a fucking spider. And I'm afraid of spiders. So the instinctual reaction is, first of all, heart rate picks up. I prepare my hands underneath the blanket, then I snap the blanket up to squash it. And then I try to go to sleep again. That's always the thing. Like, if I were fully lucid, I wouldn't immediately try to go back to sleep. But I'm awake for a bit, and I'm actually like full on awake, but something tells me to go back to sleep, so I fucking do. And I wake up properly the next morning, and I check the blanket, no dead spider. And since this has happened multiple times at this point, and I think it's highly unlikely that the spiders would always choose to make their fucking webs right over me, I can only conclude that I'm fucking hallucinating the damn things.
Mhm.
And since it always happens while I'm waking up, but the idea like sort of sticks with me, like that was real until I fall asleep again and wake up the next time, which is usually when my brain sort of resets and goes, wait a moment. So, yeah.
It's a funny thing,
Yep.
like being in between being asleep and being awake. It's a funny thing. There's a reason that
It
sleep
is.
paralysis exists.
Yeah, this might just be like your brain
I
Don't
have
remind me.
never
manifesting
had
some
the
form of
displeasure.
fear.
Ugh.
I think
I wouldn't call it paralysis either, since like I'm
Yep,
fully
no,
capable of movement.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's like there's another phenomenon that I think like I personally haven't really experienced full on paralysis, but I have experienced auditory um I don't want to say auditory hallucinations because I'm not sure if it was a hallucination, but I heard a full on conversation happening right next to my bedside while I was in between a state of being asleep and being awake. But I was fully able to move, so I know for a fact that it wasn't paralysis. I don't know what the fuck it was, but
Okay, again, obviously you can imagine shit even while not paralyzed, because, well, there's no, if you can lucid dream, so there's no reason you shouldn't be able to still hallucinate if you're coming out of a dream, because you're still in that malleable state of mind. So
and they say like lucid dreaming leads to sleep paralysis, even though I have lucid dreams all the time, but I've never had paralysis.
yeah, again, like it's like lucid dreaming is you assert yourself over your subconsciousness in the dream, and sleep paralysis is your subconsciousness asserting itself over you in the real world.
Yeah, just like, oh, you
So
want to wake up? Nah, bitch, you're gonna see a demon.
Yeah.
no,
Fuck
I'm
me.
not done being in control yet.
Yeah, I've never had the displeasure of sleep
I need to go
paralysis or
check on my
sleep
dog real
paralysis
quick. I'll be
demons.
back.
Please never
Mm.
do, man. It is
Yeah.
some of the wackiest shit in
Yeah,
history.
I've just had the mild spider hallucinations, which granted are uncomfortable, but
I think a
You want
friend
the
of
mild
mine
spider hallucinations?
experienced
How about the wolf spider hallucinations?
Oh, stop right there.
No.
I mean, I'll just point out those spiders tend to not be like the daddy long legs variety, but like actual spiders.
Mm.
Yeah,
So
dwarf
yeah,
spiders are the horrifying ones. You smack them,
Dog is
and
fine.
suddenly you've got a colony in your floors.
Yep, there you go. Wait,
yeah, the
Donna, you
ones
said
you
something
smack
about a
with the broom and
friend.
then they just
Oh,
scatter.
They
right.
just scatter. Ew.
That's why you
Yeah.
have a vacuum cleaner to clean
It's
up big spiders.
worse when you see them like
1,000 little things just
on the
festering
back
about.
of the spider. You look
Mhm.
close in the spider, and the back is pulsing with spiders.
There you go.
Shine a light at them, you can see all of the eyes like little
All of the
stars.
tiny little eyes. Yep.
Oh,
Ew,
God.
can we stop talking about this?
No.
No, this is
We're in the
entertaining.
spooky side, all right?
We're
Here,
not. Yeah, we're
subject
in.
change. I have a cat on my chest.
Fair enough. Oh yeah, I was still like trying to add more to the story. So yeah, uh, most of my family, except my little sister, bless her, just had that experience. I had a different one a few months later after I had the scratches. Um, I still remember this clear as day because that was like the first time I felt genuine fear in my heart. Where I was in the living room, right, and bedtime's about to approach because I got to go to a class for the next morning. So I go up to the kitchen, grab a little drink, just some water, and chug it down. I head back to the living room, and all of a sudden, from the kitchen, I heard like a loud clang, like two pots literally just clang. And mind you, I was like the only one at the living room, only one at the kitchen. All you could hear is a clang, and then a hiss, like an actual hiss.
Oh.
Like it almost sounded like
Hold on.
5, 6 vipers just hissing, at the same time. But it was like more deeper. It was as if like a 10-foot tall anaconda was just like hiding in the kitchen, and then I just hear that hiss. I don't know how else to describe that hiss, but I heard that hiss and my heart just went like stone cold. Like that was the first time. Like it felt like a hand, it felt like Sub Zero just like did his little hand reach and just
Mhm.
squeezed my heart. And at that point, my mind just told me to run. And that's exactly what my mind literally just told me run, 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 run.
Mhm.
And that's what I did. Like I literally just burst through like my parents' room, and they're like asking me like, "What's wrong? Are you okay?" I'm like, "No, I just heard some weird stuff in the kitchen. I don't know what's happening." I That was the first time I had trouble sleeping because I could still hear that hiss in the back of my head even after it happened because
My neck, dude.
it just it just sounded that
Mhm.
weird. Like just a simple noise as a hiss, and it would just linger in the back of my head even though I was trying to fall asleep. So all this stuff happens, nothing comes out of it, but I noticed that as the years pass by, um my dad is like succumbing to more panic attacks. And to add a little bit of context, sorry to go a little bit personal, my dad has been battling kidney failure, both of his kidneys, for the past 10 years. And
Oh.
with stuff like
Mm.
that, you can't support for the family. Obviously, negativity just starts clouding your mindset. And like starting a couple of years ago, he would just have these like festering panic attacks where he just wake up in the middle of the night calling out for my name, like specifically calling out for me to help him out. And that's nothing paranormal, but the reason why I add this is because I still remember this moment on Thanksgiving during COVID. Um, my dad actually decides to turn to one of my aunts who lives in Mexico, and she in turn turns to a local shaman to see if there was like something weird festering here. And Thanksgiving, I get told that someone that we knew placed a hex on the whole family. And turns out that the person who placed the hex was the wife of a neighbor that we used to have. And we were really good friends with that neighbor. Like my dad, their dad, we were really close. So, apparently it's the wife that placed the hex on us since 2016, which was around the time that we started experiencing our weird shit. And I'm just sitting here going, are you like, I don't know how petty or just unlikable do you have to be to place a hex on the whole family? And we still didn't figure out why, and or how, for that matter. I don't know how the fuck the woman practices magic, or if she contacted another witch to place a hex on us. I couldn't tell you, but
Ew.
From the way that you describe the events happening, that sounds more like a curse than a hex.
Yeah.
I was about to mention. I was gonna add to that too. I was gonna say, for all I know, that wasn't a hex. That was probably a curse.
No, that was
put
That
on
no.
his
sounds
family.
way more like a curse.
Yeah, that sounds
to
way more
me.
Yeah.
like a curse. Is the shit still going on, or has it like died
It stopped.
down? It stopped.
Ever since that announcement was made and all that shit, it stopped.
Okay, so it was a kind of
completely.
okay, so maybe it wasn't even a curse because a curse would still persist. I think
Mhm.
this
That's true.
this was a kind of thing that relied on like not being found out. I feel like it was
There
like
you
a
go.
it was like a thing that like as long as you didn't know what was happening, it would continue to happen and it would continue to get worse until eventually somebody couldn't take it, to say the least.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of shit is actually pretty common. Like small things turn to big things and drive people crazy.
Mhm.
Yep. Oh no, yeah, that was just a little a tale from the past of the duck boy and how he had to endure some. To this day, I still don't even know why us and why in general. Like I'll tell, like I can kind of expose
Much as
myself a little bit. We're not wealthy in the slightest. We still have enough to like put a roof over our heads and have our like general commodities, but that's it. Like we're not essentially like the
as
elites. We're not rich at all. You know.
as much as I hate to say it, some of it is just human nature. Humans will find a reason for anything.
Yes.
It can
Mhm.
be it
Mm.
can be, maybe they saw and I'm not saying this is what it is. Maybe she saw something your family did as a slight to her and she took it too far. Or, maybe she was just spiteful and her wrath just happened to land on you guys. Unfortunately, we as humans are flawed and we can be absolutely terrible not just to ourselves but to other people.
Mm-hmm.
So,
True.
yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
A thing that
Unfortunately, you guys just happened to be the ones she decided to target.
and a thing that I would also like to mention, witches don't need a reason to cast. They don't. It's
True.
better to have a reason to cast because you will get less backlash, but you don't need a
Hmm.
reason.
Mm-hmm.
She could have just gotten extremely pissy and saw you guys being the family that you are, and she could have just been like, oh, you guys are gonna go and act like that while I'm over here being pissy. Hell no, I'm gonna fuck you up. And she did, but then you
Hmm.
found out, and now her shit is no longer affecting you.
Mm-hmm.
It was like
Yeah.
it was
And I
like
mean, you said you said your aunt or someone contacted a shaman. Is that
Yeah.
correct?
Back in
Yeah,
just
bringing
New
in
Mexico.
someone with more of a with potentially more power. I'm assuming,
Yeah.
if you believe in that sort of thing, that probably helped too. Like you brought in someone who went, "Oh, here's your problem," you know.
yeah, and who knows, maybe your aunt somehow managed to fix it, or the shaman somehow managed to fix it. I know that they have the ability to reverse curses. It's difficult, but they can do it.
Hmm.
True. Yeah. Oh no. Yeah. That was a little tiddly-wink story that involved the
Yeah.
supernatural kind of. Yeah.
Nice. Okay. Shall we move on to the more real stuff? Because
Finally, yes.
because
Absolutely.
reality is often more scary than the paranormal.
Yes. Yes. You're
Yes.
fucking right. Yes, you
Which
are.
Hmm.
is one of the
For sure.
reasons why I actually wanted to bring in some true crime, because it's
Yeah.
always scary to see what humans are
We are
capable
able to
of
do.
than,
Mhm.
simply blaming it on a ghost. This is an actual human being that did these acts. So, as
Mhm.
our resident um true crime expert, I'm going to hand it over to Rainy.
Oh,
Yay! Oh
Cuz
no.
I believe
Responsibility.
oh
Hello.
no, I was not
Hello.
prepared for this.
um
Uh,
you've mentioned that you have done a lot of research into true crime. It's something that you were extremely into. So
Right.
and you haven't really been given much of a spotlight. So I would like to give you a chance to tell a story, something that you would like to mention, like anything at all. Go for it.
There's a lot. That's I've
That's not a problem, Damla. If there's a lot, there's a lot. That is essential
like
to this
I've been
podcast.
interested in true crime and like I guess or sort of also human psychology since I was like 15. So I've just looked up a lot of stuff to the point where I just there's so much. I'm just gonna try to think. But I don't. Nothing comes to mind yet. I'm gonna look for something. But if anything comes to mind for you guys,
Maybe like what's one of the creepiest ones you've ever heard of?
Yes.
good question. I don't know why. I'm just straight up forgetting everything I know right now.
I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Yes, presentation fever.
Yeah.
Yeah. Social
I mean,
anxiety. Yay.
Social
technically, I know
yay.
some stories, but it's mostly the ones that I remember because they managed to traumatize me on some level, so I don't feel like regurgitating them here.
That's understandable.
Yeah.
Fair.
I don't know what it is about some of these stories, but for reasons I've still not been able to isolate, some of them just hit that sweet spot exactly on the cross point of sense of justice and empathy, where I get
There we go.
really pissy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So
Yeah. And you're also not in the mind of these people, so it's just like, why the fuck would they do this? Ah.
well, it's even worse if I can understand why they did it.
Ooh, those are the worst ones. I can agree with that.
Oh God, I hate.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I can empathize with both sides of the equation, it's even
Mhm.
worse. I mean, there's one particular case where, without going into too much detail, it was a case of someone killed someone but didn't actually mean to. Like, it was
Accidental murder.
horribly negligent, but it was
Yeah.
not intentional. So I can empathize with both sides there, as in one person who died in an uncomfortable manner due to negligence, and the other person who accidentally killed someone like that. Both of whom make my brain unhappy.
Yeah.
There.
Yeah.
Oh god, that one that was the case where I just stopped watching true crime shit.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Just remembered what. Sorry.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
No, go ahead, Rainy. Go
No,
ahead.
I think this was one of the earlier true crime cases that I found out about. It's the murder of. This took place in Japan. I'm not Japanese, so I'm gonna mispronounce it. Junko Furuta. Junko Furuta. She was a Japanese high school student, and she was abducted, raped, tortured, and then murdered.
No, I know that case.
I think-
Fuck me,
I
that's
think
one of
I-
the most
It's-
saddest cases.
It is very upsetting. So, like, if you cannot
Yeah.
handle it, any of the stuff I just mentioned, don't look it up. Probably,
I
because
know that case
I
top
think
to
I've
bottom.
heard of
It
that
is
one. I think I've heard of that
vile.
one.
Yeah.
it was horrible.
It
like,
is
just
vile.
It's
So
oh,
I mean, I'll give. Yeah, I'll get. I don't want to take the spotlight. So Damla, if you're okay with explaining it.
yeah. So she was a. I will say I'm reading it out. I'm reading it from my phone because I sometimes forget the details.
Yeah.
But so yeah, she was a Japanese girl. This happened when she was 17, which is just really sad.
tragic.
I'm sorry. I tend to get emotionally invested in these. So
go
Yeah,
for it.
fully
You're good.
No,
You're
go for it.
good.
Full
It's-
send.
You're
it's
good.
really sad.
Full send.
You probably should get involved.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
exactly. I'd be more
not
concerned if
to
you
go.
didn't get emotional.
Yeah, not to like diverge from the topic too much, but like there are people that will like talk about these things as if it's just like some this is a cool story when like real people died here and suffered.
Yeah.
Went through
Well, I
so
mean,
much.
it's coping mechanism, like
Yeah, understand. Of course, yeah, people cope with
disassociate.
stuff in different ways, especially if it's if you hear about this stuff a lot. So this happened in I think it's 1988 or 89. So let's see, two men, I think, Miyano and
Athena.
Minato, wandered around Misato with the intention of robbing and raping local women. And then they spotted Furuta, the young girl, riding her bike home after she had just finished working or doing her shift at her job. She was kicked off the bike, and then I'm not sure, did she pass out?
He did.
Did she pass out?
Yeah.
Okay. Miyado, under the pretense of, so one of the guys kind of like pretending like he just saw the attack by coincidence, approached Furuta and he offered to walk her home. And so that's kind of how he gained her trust. He then raped her in in a warehouse nearby, and then again in a nearby hotel, and threatened to kill her, which just absolutely horrible. Then Miyano called Minato and his other friends, two more men, and he kind of like bragged about the rape, which is gross.
Gross.
And he was the guy that raped Furuta was asked to keep her in captivity in order to allow numerous people to sexually assault her. So just the stuff that this poor girl went through. And this was not a first time thing. Apparently this group had done this before. So let me see. She was then around 3 a.m. the same day I think, taken to a park. Just checking what happened here again. Yeah, again here she was sadly again gang raped by a lot of these men that showed up, that were like part of the affiliated with Minato, I assume. Now, of course, her parents noticed that she had been gone for a little while, because this happened, the first day that she was gone was November 25th. And on the 27th, her parents contacted the police. I don't know why this took a few days, but I mean, maybe they assumed that she like stayed over at a friend's or something. I don't know. I'm sorry if I'm speaking slowly. Again, I'm just I forget a lot of the details, so I just want to make sure I get this right.
No, it's all right. But
So I'm just checking if I'm reading this correctly. So, the kidnappers forced Furuta to call her mother 3 times to convince her that she had run away, but that she was safe with some friends, so that the police wouldn't investigate this and see what was going on. Because then obviously, Minato and his friends would be found out, and based on the things that they did, they probably would be in trouble, to put it
Awful.
lightly.
Well, given that we know their names, I think they did
Yeah, of
get
course.
into
Yeah,
school,
at the end
but
they did, but this was their attempt at,
yeah.
avoiding it at least.
mhm.
So they did force her to stop the police investigation. I think they also forced her, yeah. And when Minato's parents were present, Furata was forced to act as his girlfriend. So hopefully in this way, making it, or not clear, but like having parents under the assumption that nothing bad was going on, that they didn't have to call the police or anything like that. Minato's parents, so the guy's parents, wouldn't report it because they were afraid, as their own son. Oh damn! Their own son was increasingly violent towards them. So his parents didn't. Or they, I cannot speak today. I am sorry.
That's okay.
But yeah, that's why they didn't report him to the police. Then on the night of the 28th of November, Miyano invited 2 other boys to the house. They went to the upstairs room where Junko was sitting. They started acting high for some reason. I'm not sure why. They drank cough medicine and then pretended that it was drugs for some reason. And Furuta tried running away, obviously, because they were being scary and stuff. I guess I don't know what they were doing here. It's a little confusing, but she tried running away. Sadly, this didn't work, and during this time, she fell unconscious, sort of, and was then gang raped by these men again. She was held captive in total for 40 days, where they repeatedly beat, raped, and tortured her. They also invited other men and teenage boys home and encouraged them to take turns raping her. So again, just the things that this poor girl went through for 40 days. She was there for 40 days and she went through all of these just god awful things.
Mm-hmm.
Um they forced her to do a lot of awful things, like dancing to music while naked, masturbating in front of them, and they left her on the balcony in the middle of the night with little clothing. Yeah, that's just I can't I can't even imagine how bad this would be. She was also forced to smoke multiple cigarettes and inhale paint thinner by the guys.
Ooh.
Ooh.
I'm not going to get too specific here, but they inserted objects in her.
Ah.
Yeah.
Mm.
And by the end of December, Furita was severely malnourished after being fed only small amounts of food and eventually only milk. And due to her severe injuries and infected burns, she became unable to go to the toilet and, was only able to remain in the room of the main guy that kidnapped her, which is Minato. And yeah, the attacks had, of course, like drastically altered her appearance. Her face was very swollen, so much so that it was difficult to make out her features. And her apparently her this reading this makes me so disgusted with these men. Her body started giving off a rotting smell or something, and this caused the boys to lose sexual interest in her. So they kidnapped her again, gang raped her again. Oh wait, no, sorry, I misread that. As a result, they kidnapped someone else because Fujita wasn't like attractive to them anymore.
And they
Which
clearly
is,
succeeded once.
it's just so messed up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh god.
Yeah, it's
Keep in mind, she's still alive this whole
yeah,
time.
she's still
Mhm.
like
Feels everything.
I don't know how she, like, even if like physically she was still okay, the amount of mental trauma that she has like been through at this point, like, just that's an awful lot for someone to have to process. I bet she barely
For
processed
better
it.
or worse, the human brain is really good at adapting to situations. So sometimes you might
Yeah,
wish it didn't.
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
true, of course, because like her body, like, she wants to stay alive, of course. There's likely something in her that would have wanted to
Yeah.
and really tried to, but it's just awful. Um, then the day that she died was January 4th, 1989. Um, Miyano, who was one of the men that also, of course, like, I think maybe one of the kidnappers, but he definitely like raped her, was one of the guys that raped her. Um, lost a game of mahjong and decided to take his anger out on Furita by pouring lighter fluid on her body and setting her on fire. So
Oh no.
this
No.
poor girl didn't do anything. This guy lost a game and was like, I'm gonna take this out on this innocent girl who has been here for like what, 40 days?
Were they
Mhm.
diagnosed with any mental illnesses?
No
I'll see if I can
diagnosis
find anything.
necessary anymore.
I
Like,
think
There's
the diagnosis
No.
is
the evidence speaks for its fucking self.
Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
And like, what specifically is wrong with them?
They're
and it's
sociopaths.
just uh,
Like, that's it. That's the only one that fits. It's sociopath.
yeah. And allegedly Furita made attempts to put it out. So while she was on fire, she tried to put it out, which is poor girl. But she gradually became unresponsive. And they continued to punch her while this was going on. Um, just after she was kicked, she fell onto a stereo unit and collapsed into a fit of convulsions. She was bleeding profusely at this point, and pus was emerging from the in, infected burns that she had. So Because of this, the boys covered their hands in plastic bags. They continued to beat her. Oh my god.
Yeah, you're a sociopath at the point where if
I
someone
don't.
that one, instead of doing something about it, you just cover your hands.
I was gonna
Like
say,
yeah,
I hope this
that's
isn't too heavy, but like, there's so much bad, like, there's so many bad things that these men did to her. So they continued to beat her, and they dropped an iron exercise ball onto her stomach several times.
Ugh.
I don't know what kind of like.
That is a
I
complete lack of empathy for your fellow human being right
If I
there.
can remember correctly, that attack was 2 hours long, and that's
it
after
was.
she collapsed and
Yeah.
convulsed.
Yup.
It still continued.
It
Yeah.
continued for 2 hours. She is
It's
eventually succumbed to her wounds and died, which that's just.
oh, it's so fucking horrible.
Imagine
Yeah,
40 days of that torture.
it's just horrible. They
Yeah.
dispose. Oh wait, how did they? And of course, these guys didn't want to get caught, so the group wrapped her body in blankets and shoved her into a travel bag. Then put her body in a 55 US gallon, that's 210 liters for the non-US people drum, and filled it with wet concrete. And they eventually loaded it and eventually disposed of the drum in a cement truck in Koto, Tokyo. And just
Oh god.
Can I add
well,
something else to this? Because I think I remember a
mhm,
little tidbit. I
mhm.
think during the while she was captured, because the girl obviously, she started gradually discovering that she wasn't going to make it out.
Mhm.
I think Furuta did mention to her captors a number of times something about not being able to watch like a final episode of some show.
Yeah, that's
Like,
actually what was the following paragraph here. But go on.
oh, really? Yeah, but
Yeah.
no, but yeah, like that was like something like this chick couldn't
Mhm.
watch like the final episode of like some show. I forgot what was it
It's
called.
called Tonbo, the Tonbo, which means dragonfly, I think. I'm not sure that's
Tumbo.
what it says in brackets, but
Yeah, so
yeah.
it was like a show that she wanted to watch,
Mhm.
and I think one of the killers like thought of that and he said, you know what? Let's just find the videotape of that episode and we'll just shove it in the travel bag,
Yeah,
with
well,
the corpse.
there's actually a reason for that. So it wasn't because he felt bad for her or anything. It was because he did not want her to return as a ghost and haunt him.
I
Because
mean
she
that,
expressed that she wanted to watch the final episode.
and she died not watching it.
Yeah, so I guess, I don't know. He was like, well, I don't want her to haunt me because obviously she would if she could.
Mhm.
To be fair, that would be a more
That
fit punishment, being
Step
haunted
one
for
to
the rest
not
of your
being
life.
see
haunted. Don't
Mhm.
torment people to the point of death.
see the way
Exactly.
that see after saying that, that to me says like subconscious guilt, but
Yeah.
then again, it's just like
Somewhat, but I
It's
mean,
not guilt. It's acknowledgement of knowing what you're doing is wrong is different from actually caring about it.
yeah, that's
yeah,
There we
I
true.
go.
think he
Yeah.
was like well aware that he was going to get in trouble for this and that it was bad and that it was somewhat going to like get back at him. But I doubt that he like felt bad for her considering the things that all of these men did to her.
Yeah.
Maybe
Like
some
operating within the
part of their
confines of a
brain.
system. In this case, it's a matter of I want to have fun, but my fun has consequences to me, not
Because
necessarily out of guilt.
they
Mm-hmm.
did this for 40 days and every day made the conscious decision to like not free her or
Mm.
anything or like stop what they were doing. So, yeah.
Yeah, faith in humanity drops to fucking zero. Exactly,
Yep.
JH.
Yep. Yeah.
I felt the F bomb was appropriate there.
I mean,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Absolutely appropriate. Like that is just that to me is just oh god. Like it
Yeah,
really
but
So presumably it can't get much worse from here. So
I would
You'd be
that would not
you'd be
surprised.
tempt the
surprised
universe.
because
I think.
I have a very famous serial killer here that that has really stuck with a lot of people for various reasons. It's probably not the one that you were thinking of. It's probably the second one that you were thinking of. He went by the name the Milwaukee Cannibal. I am talking about Mr.
I think
Jeffrey
I heard
Dahmer.
of that one.
I am talking about Mr. Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yep, that's him,
Ah.
the one and only.
The one and only Jeffrey Dahmer, an American serial killer and sex offender who killed and dismembered 17 men and boys between 1978 and 1991. Many of his later murders involved necrophilia, cannibalism, and the permanent preservation of body parts, all typically or part of the skeleton.
Yep.
Although he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, schizotypal personality disorder, and psychotic disorder, Dahmer was found to be legally sane at his trial. He was convicted of 15 of the 16 homicides he had committed in Wisconsin and was sentenced to 15 terms of life imprisonment on February 17, 1992. Dahmer was later sentenced to a 16th term of life imprisonment for an additional homicide committed in Ohio in 1978. On November 28, 1994, Dahmer was beaten to death by Christopher Scarver, a fellow inmate at the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portugal, Wisconsin. Let's see. Let's talk about his first murder, shall we? Dahmer committed his first murder in 1978, 3 weeks after his graduation. On June 18th, Dahmer picked up a hitchhiker named Stephen Mark Hicks, who was almost 19. Dahmer lured the youth to his house on the pretext of drinking. Hicks, who had been hitchhiking to a rock concert at Chippewa Lake Park, Ohio, agreed to accompany Dahmer to his house upon the promise of a few beers with Dahmer, as he had the house to himself. Yes, JH. Yes, JH. According to Dahmer, the site of a... Okay, this is gonna sound fucking disturbing, so... according to Dahmer, the sight of the bare-chested Hicks standing at the roadside stirred his sexual feelings, although when Hicks began talking about girls, he knew any sexual passes he made would be rebuffed. After several hours of talking, drinking, and listening to music, Hicks wanted to leave, but I didn't want him to leave. A direct quote from Dahmer. Dahmer bludgeoned Hicks with a 10-pound dumbbell, which is 4.5 kilograms. And he later stated he struck Hicks twice from behind with the dumbbell as Hicks sat upon a chair. When Hicks fell unconscious, Dahmer strangled him to death with the bar of the dumbbell, then stripped the clothes from Hicks' body before exploring his chest with his hands, quote, then masturbating as he stood above the corpse. Hours later, Dahmer dragged the body to the basement. That was his first murder. Okay.
In case you didn't gather, people, this is a not safe for work podcast.
This is
I think first story
a lot of trigger
established that
warnings.
shit.
A lot of trigger warnings need to be placed.
Yeah,
in
like
here.
basically every single one.
I'm probably gonna put a trigger warning at the beginning of the video, and then
it just trigger warning everything.
Trigger warning everything.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, the following day, Dahmer dissected Hicks' body in his basement. He later buried the remains in a shallow grave in his backyard. Several weeks later, he unearthed the remains and pared the flesh from the bones. He dissolved the flesh in acid before flushing the solution down the toilet. He crushed the bones with a sledgehammer and scattered them in the woods behind the family home.
Methodical.
So, very methodical.
Mm-hmm.
Need I remind you of what he was diagnosed with? BPD, SPD, and psychotic disorder. Now, this isn't to slight anybody with those mental disorders. I imagine that it's like very difficult to deal with them, but this man didn't care. It was like he saw something that he wanted, he didn't get it, so he decided to kill. Yeah. No.
Unfortunately, but yes.
Yeah.
And here's another direct quote from Dahmer in an interview. I trained myself to view people as objects of pleasure instead of as people.
And that's all. That's all you need to know.
Yep,
Mm.
that is all you need to know. Dahmer was an incredibly disturbed man, and it is no wonder that he got the charges that he did. And need I remind you, this wasn't just with adult men, this was with children sometimes.
Hmm.
No.
It's and a lot of the stuff he did after he would murder his victims is rather disturbing, so I'm not going to read any more, but
Yeah.
for anybody
Mhm.
who does know anything about Jeffrey Dahmer, there you go. All right. Shall we do
It's
What
just
a what a wonderful discussion this has been from a girl that got tortured and murdered for 40 whole days to a famous serial killer. I imagine this is gonna be more wholesome from here on out.
sad.
Well,
Like,
I mean, I could offer one that while what happened was bad, it did bring about a good change.
mm,
But I don't know.
I
So
mean,
my so I don't know why, but I think it's one thing when stuff like this happens and you catch the person. That's terrible enough. But for me, I think what terrifies me about some true crime is that they never do catch who did the crime. And
yeah.
one that particularly sticks with me is the Tylenol poison murders. I think that was based, it was in or around
Ooh.
Chicago at the time.
Yep.
This was back when Tylenol were capsules that had powder in them. So some absolute psychopath went around, bought bottles of this stuff, took apart capsules, and put cyanide in. Put them back together, put everything back in bottles, and then put the bottles back on shelves. And if I remember correctly, I think 7 or 8 people died and
Oh,
they never caught who did it.
mm,
And but when I say it brought about a change, um, so the producer of the pills, Johnson and Johnson, I think they went through like they took everything of that product off the shelf, and I believe that was when product proof bottles started coming out. Like, you know how it's a pain in the ass to get the plastic off, and sometimes they have the paper stuff inside too that you have to take off. I
Mhm.
believe that was the start of companies doing that to their products. And I believe that was also when they started making the caplets that we see today instead of capsules
mhm.
filled with powder. So as sad as and whatever as this crime was, it did bring about something good. But yeah,
Mhm.
again,
Yeah.
the most terrifying part for me about that is they don't know why. They don't know who.
I
You
mean,
know,
I can
Exactly.
imagine why, because
Someone probably thought it'd be funny.
no, not even that. It's like because that's not targeted. That's just someone doing it with the full knowledge that random people will die. And if you're that
it's
level of psychopath, it's probably just for the thrill of being able to get away with it.
here's
Mm.
something that
mm,
I've read about psychopaths. They crave stimulation.
Mhm.
And the way that they get that stimulation is because they need an extreme amount of it, is they do extreme things such as this. They don't need a
I mean, yeah.
reason.
mm.
They just want
Because
they just
the reason is doing it itself.
like they don't need a reason to do the action. They just like it's just like one of those things where it's just like I need to make my brain go burr. I'm gonna fucking murder somebody.
And I mean, yeah, it's probably very mentally stimulating if you turn on the news and they're looking for you, but they don't know it was you.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah, and I
I
don't
get
mean to
enough
be
of a kick
making
out of Among Us. This is
this
no.
disclaimer. I don't mean to be making light of this kind of stuff,
Mm.
but it
Mhm.
like I make jokes when I find something disturbing, and like
Mhm.
It's the
to
coping
Mhm.
mechanism.
it's a coping mechanism.
Yeah, it's a lot to take in. So some people, use humor to cope, and that's normal, I think.
Mhm.
Yes.
Yeah, there's a line to what you can cope with humor, but
Yeah.
some things are just too abhorrent, like Damla's first story. I would not
Mhm.
make jokes about that.
No.
No.
Mm.
Um. I was trying to think of other true crime cases that I can name off the top of my head. But the only one that's coming to mind right now is one like where I think the investigation is still kind of ongoing, and they have arrested a guy, but the trial has yet to take place. I don't know, maybe the Americas. Have you guys heard of the Idaho killings that happened in November?
Yes.
Yes,
Is that
actually.
the college killings?
Yeah, it's
Yeah, the university killings.
yeah, the
Yeah.
university killings. That one's just scary because at first people had no idea who it could have been and what the motive could have been for for that murder. So I could go into it if people are interested. I'm not sure. Like, should I,
Yeah,
or
go,
do
yeah,
people
go
want to
for
move
it.
on to something else?
Considered crime, so I mean, yeah.
Yeah, go for it. I will be back
Yeah.
in just a second though. I think I hear my dog knocking around.
Okay. So this took place in Moscow, Idaho, if I'm not mistaken, in a house that 6 students rented. And in the early morning hours of November 13th last year, I'm still mixing up that we're in 2023.
So, 2023, yep.
Yeah. So there were, let me think. There were 3 women living at the house. No, wait, I'm mixing it up. I think there were 5 women living at the house, and then one of the victims' boyfriend was also sleeping over the night of the attacks. So 3 of the girls that lived at the house were murdered, along with the 4th victim, who was one of the girls' boyfriend. And what I found kind of scary about this one is that 2 female roommates that also lived there were not attacked at all. Like, for some reason, they were not killed, or even, they were. I don't even think the killer went into their rooms or anything like that. Um,
The Survivors Guild. Holy shit.
it's bad. I'm
Exactly.
just because I'm gonna say so many people on social media have been ruthless to these girls. I've seen people like accuse one of them of like being involved in this because she was alive, which I just find mind blowing. Like, come on, guys.
Like
Survivor's Guild mixed in with like these fake ass accusations that people are making because
like
I'm
fake
gonna take a guess and
accusations
say
of
Twitter
that
was the
sort
main place.
are understandable if you're family of one of the victims because you're going to be
Mhm.
emotional and you're
This
going
is
to
why these
lash out at
cases should be
everybody.
anonymized.
But
Yeah, and
Mm.
it's frustrating because yes, there are a lot of cases where someone is murdered and um the person who committed this is a relative or a partner or someone they knew, but you cannot jump to those conclusions when there's literally no evidence, there's no arrest. Now there is, but at this point in time there hadn't yet been yet one. Yep, there hadn't been one yet. Um so Earlier that evening on this day, 2 of the 4 victims were at an on campus party from 8 to 9. They returned home at around 2 a.m. Then the 2 other victims had also gone to a sports bar, and from which they departed at 1:30. So I'm assuming that they might have gone back by 2. I'm not sure how far away the bar was from the house. Yeah, they arrived at around 2 a.m. Um, Just going to check. The 2 surviving roommates were also home by 1. I think everyone was home by around 2 a.m. And they were in their beds on the ground floor of the home at the time of the killings. And so again, as I said, they were not attacked, they were not held hostage at all. Um, the original report stated that both of the roommates did not wake up during the killings, but I may be mispronouncing this word. The affidavit for the case said that one surviving roommate was sleeping on the second floor, the same floor as 2 of the other victims, before she was awoken with what sounded by someone and one of the roommates and her dog. She then heard someone saying, "There's someone here," which just, I don't know, that scares me for some reason. That scares me, but it's chilling. Um,
Mm.
So again, investigators are not completely sure who might have said this. Um, there have been suspicions of who it could have been because one of the girls was on her phone and was apparently on TikTok around that time. So the idea is that, oh, maybe she was awake and heard something and then said that. Um, The surviving roommate opened her door, and within a short span of time, and the second time she heard crying, and then heard a male voice saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you." Now they don't know who there's no mention of who this voice is. It could be the boyfriend, or it could be the killer, which that is scary. Like, why would it? I don't know. This. Yeah, like it's just it's especially if you've already heard some commotion and then you hear someone saying, "It's okay, I'm going to help you," and you hear someone crying as well. I don't know. Um, so then the surviving roommate opened her door for the third time that night, and she saw a figure clad in black clothing and a mask that covered the person's mouth and nose walking towards her. The man who the roommate did not recognize walked past her and used the sliding glass door to exit. And it's not known if the man saw her. The roommate stood in a frozen shock phase and then locked herself in her room. Just imagine, like, you've heard some commotion, you open a door, and there's some guy in all black walking past you and then leaving.
Just walking too.
Yeah, he's not running. As I don't know if he was holding any like a weapon or something. I'm assuming that she was so shocked that she probably didn't pay attention to that. But they're just a person you don't recognize. They're just casually walking. And so yeah, she locked herself in the room. The four victims were stabbed to death on the second and third floors in the home where they had been in bed.
That
Um,
smells like targeted vendetta.
Yeah, and it's especially again, I don't want to say weird because but like people were confused because two roommates were still alive. So the question is, if you say you wanted to commit a crime like this, obviously if two people are still alive, they're going to find out and call the police. Like, why did they not target those two girls? That's the question a lot of people had.
There's another theory that could have happened, a crime of opportunity. There's a reason that they didn't go searching throughout the house, or else they could
Yeah,
have
well,
found
that was also something that people mentioned because this should I get into some information about the suspect
Yes.
or not? He's a criminology PhD, if I'm not mistaken. And some people are, so some people are making connections to that. I don't know because again, the trial has yet to happen here. There's a lot that we probably don't know because the police always knows more. So I guess we'll find out, but let me see if I can find some more. So, oh right, back to the case. I'll get into more information about the aftermath and like the suspect later, but 9/11 was not called until 11:58 a.m., many hours after the early morning killings.
911, by the way, not 9/11. That's.
Oh, sorry. Oh, did I say 9/11?
Yeah, 9/11. 9/11 is completely different, Rainy. You mean 911.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I mean, it looks the same. I'm really sorry. I did not mean to.
It's okay.
Okay.
It's all good.
I've been saying so many numbers probably because I saw 11:58 as well. But anyway, so at that time, a call was made from the residence from the cell phone of one of the survivors who lived at the residence, asking for aid for an quote unconscious person. Which this one confuses me because earlier it's mentioned somewhere that there was blood on the wall, so I don't like. Did she think that they were still alive? If they're unconscious?
Was there blood on all the walls? Because
Um,
I don't know
well,
which one they found.
I mean, I think it was on the walls where they were killed because they were not moved anywhere. Like,
yeah, but like
in the
which person was the one that the police caller found first? Because
I
maybe
don't
there
think
wasn't blood on that particular wall. Who knows?
it's not mentioned. I no, there's no mention of who exactly this was. Oh, okay. They believed one of the second floor victims was unconscious and was not waking up. They don't mention who, but someone. It's just these people were so young, like between 20 and 21. Just devastating. So this came out. People did not know, like there were no clues at first as to who the killer was going to be. So now you have like four people that were murdered. in this town where a bunch of students live, and the killer is just on the loose. Like they don't know who it could be, any signs, any like what this person could look like, which just terrifying, absolutely terrifying. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of because it was at the town's called Moscow, I think. It's more of like a student town, so the students had heard about this, like a lot of them left early as a result of not yeah, of this whole thing happening because there was again a killer on the loose. They didn't know who it could have been. But I think I'm just checking when they arrested. They ended up arresting someone. Um, Brian Koberger is his name. I'm trying to find like uh where this exactly is starting. So a camera in the area of the killings had captured an image of an Elantra around the time when the killings happened. Is that like some kind of car? I don't know
Yeah,
exactly what
that's
that
the
is.
type of
Yeah,
car.
I'd assume so.
Yeah.
Okay. Investigators noticed that the white Hyundai Elantra. Okay, it was a Hyundai or Hyundai was captured by the camera during the time of the killings, and surveillance videos also showed probably the same vehicle passing by the victims' homes 3 times, beginning around 3:30 a.m. And then around 4 a.m. it returned to the home for a fourth time, which that's scary. This guy
If
was
it's
just
three
like
times, that means it's likely not a crime of opportunity.
definitely not. So they traced the ownership of the vehicle to Brian Koberger, who drove the car with his father to the Pocono Mountains of Pennsylvania. I don't know how to pronounce this, but he was pulled over twice, within a nearly 5-mile radius. I'm not sure if it's mentioned why exactly he was pulled over speeding and tailgating. Um, investigators
Already
obtained.
animal behavior. So
Yeah,
Well, yeah.
yeah. So not a good guy, probably, just to say the least. Investigators obtained cell phone data that showed that Koberger's phone stopped connecting to the network around 2:47 a.m. on November 13th before in Pullman on November 13th. I'm not sure where that is. Before reconnecting around 4:48 a.m. near Blaine, Idaho, which is near Moscow. So that is where the victims were killed. Cell phone data also shows that he was near the victim's residence around 9 a.m. on November 13th, approximately 5 hours after the killings. And I've read somewhere that it's sometimes, for some reason, I don't know why, but murderers will like go back to, like wherever they murdered someone. Like I don't know why. I don't know if it's like to check if
to
anyone
see
has
if it
like
was
called the
discovered
cops.
yet, because if it was discovered, the scene
I
will be
guess
locked
so.
down, and if
Yeah.
not, it'll still be open. And being there in and of itself is not suspicious, so they can do it.
Yeah, that is true. If he's not
Whereas
caught yet.
checking on the internet if a crime had been discovered is hella suspicious. So
Hmm. And police also obtained, this is the creepy part. I found this creepy when I found out. Police also obtained data that indicated that he was near the residence at least 12 times between June 2022 and November 13th. 12 times.
again,
12
this
times.
sounds like a vendetta. Like he had a problem with
Mm.
3 particular people in that residence, and the others he couldn't care less about, which is why they live. Because he didn't have a problem with them. He had
Hmm.
something against the others.
Yeah,
And
and they
that
actually,
had
yeah,
obviously been festering for a while. Like this was planned. He specifically disconnected the phone
definitely.
beforehand. Like this is
It
not
was,
opportunity. This was planned in detail, and he knew exactly that he wasn't
mhm.
going to kill the other people.
Yeah.
And also, like, what for me not necessarily gave away, but gave me suspicions that it was personal is the way that they were killed. Because as from what I've learned in like being interested in true crime, stabbings are personal most of the time.
Be
Like
right close to someone to stab
if
them.
you want to be quick, you don't want to be caught, you just want to get it over, you probably will like, this is going to sound so gruesome and like I don't want to sound disrespectful saying this, but people will shoot someone probably or do it in a way that is gives you more chance of, you know, getting it done immediately. I feel horrible talking about it this way, but like stabbing someone takes a lot more effort and there's obviously going to be blood. The victim's going to struggle against you. It's very likely that they're going to struggle.
Mm.
So that's just like a personal thing where I was like, okay, this is probably someone that had like some, maybe not direct connection, but it was somewhat, at the very least, a little personal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, again, so the trial has yet to take place. There has been I saw some information about the suspect, but I don't know if I can find it again. That he was apparently interested in one of the girls that he killed.
Oh.
That's
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a powerful motive right there.
I'm
And then we've got the motive. Yeah.
trying to find where it said, but I think he like DM'd her a couple of times and she never responded.
Oh, so an incel.
Mm.
He also, I think, was like found being on Reddit and like asking criminals questions related to murders that were. Did it have? I forgot. I don't want to say things without like making sure that I'm getting it right. So I'm just going to wait if I can see if I can find any information. But he was on some he was on a subreddit, and the things that he said was just like a bit suspicious.
Yeah,
Why
that'll
can I not
definitely
find
do it.
Unfortunately, on that note, I must dip out, but you guys have fun continuing to dissect this and whatever else you talk about. Thanks for letting me be a part of this, Luca.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
Yeah, no worries, Dragon.
Bye.
Have a good night.
Yep,
Good
you
night,
guys have a
Dragon.
good one.
Bye.
Bye.
I think
Damn
I
it, Jamie.
found some of the
You've
things
got
he
me doing it
asked.
too. I just waved and nobody saw me.
I do that too sometimes.
We all know we do that. Like.
Yeah.
I never
I've
used to
seen
do that.
you waving.
I don't know if you guys. I found one of the. He apparently like posted a survey on Reddit, asking questions to criminals. And I'm not saying that if you're interested in this stuff that you automatically are interested in killing people, but you
It does
know.
not it would not help your case if you happen to become a suspect.
No, it would not.
So some of the questions were, what was the first move you made in order to accomplish your goal? Please detail any thoughts and feelings at this point. Did you prepare the crime before leaving your home?
Which
After
technically can be questions if you're into the psychology of it.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
Like
That's
it
why
could
I'm
be
like,
fascinating, but it could also be, sus.
very sus
it's
at that
not
point.
it's not an immediate giveaway, but it could in like where you have all this other information, you'll be like, okay, that makes sense, I guess, that, it has something to do with it. Another, before leaving, is there anything else you did after committing the crime? What were you thinking and feeling? Before making your move, how did you approach the victim or target? What steps did you take prior to locating the victim or target? Please detail your thoughts and feelings.
That's extremely
Why did you choose
methodical.
that victim or target over others? It's just.
Yeah. Interesting questions, and I doubt anybody who stumbled across that did not get suspicious.
Yeah.
Exactly. Like, okay, I found the thing. Okay, so he DM'd, "Hey, how are you?" to one of the victims on Instagram. So there could be a motive there.
Yeah.
He may have
Definitely.
stalked one of them, her actually, which that is terrifying.
That is very much terrifying. Agreed.
I think there was also two of the girls went to a food truck or something that night. And for some reason that food truck like live streams on Twitch, and you could when the girls were about to order something, you could, I think, in the corner see like some guy in like all dark clothing just kind of standing there, but it looked like he was looking at the girls. You can't really make out his face or anything like that, but people were wondering if that could have been him. If like he could have been following them or something. I don't know though, because that hasn't been confirmed if it was him. But yeah. Also the DM thing of, "Hey, how are you?" Apparently he was doing this multiple times, like just again and again, with no response.
Highest incel behavior.
Ugh.
Yep.
According to officials, these messages were sent around the same time that his phone pinged in the same location near the victim's home weeks before the killing.
Right, so he specifically sent them while essentially staring at their home.
Yeah, that's just
Ah, yes, mentally healthy behavior.
Very much mentally healthy behavior.
Truly a model citizen.
the suspect has been described as super awkward and a little off by students who knew him.
Incel.
Incel.
Yeah, like I don't want to make too many assumptions because there's a lot of things that aren't known, but it kind of points toward he has like some tendencies at least, I think.
Mm.
Um yeah, it's just scary. Like ugh.
Yep.
I don't know when the trial's going to take place
It's going to
exactly.
take a while as well. So
It will take a while, yeah.
If the suspect has been apprehended, then it most likely will happen here in a few months.
It will, since he did get apprehended.
Mm-hmm. Well, if we would like to go down the round of speculation, there's no better way to do that than with cold cases. So I would like to turn everybody's attention to my personal favorite cold case. If you can guess what it is, I will give you a cookie.
how would you give me a cookie?
I would figure it out.
I doubt you can send cookies in the postal service across an ocean.
You technically could. You technically
Amazon
could.
You
exists.
could purchase a cookie from a nearby shop and have them deliver it to you instead.
You just
Is
order a
it the
cookie
Black
from like the
Dahlia?
local Subway and have it delivered.
I'm gonna take a guess and say the Black Dahlia.
No, but Black Dahlia is up there.
I don't know what the Black Dahlia
Well,
is.
I don't
I-
know any.
The
so
only
I
thing I
would
can
guess.
think of is
I
I
avoid
guess
cold
Jack
cases
the
like a
Ripper,
fucking plague.
but
Yeah.
I don't know.
It is Jack
Is
the
that a
Ripper.
I
cold
think it
case?
is.
Was I right?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't think
Makes sense.
the Jack the Ripper case isn't technically classified as a cold case because it is still there is still speculation going on. However, it be so
Yeah.
for those who don't know who Jack the Ripper is, Jack the Ripper is
Who
an
doesn't?
unknown who doesn't know who Jack the Ripper is. But if you've been living under a rock,
Or behind the moon.
Hello.
Jack the Ripper was an unidentified serial killer active in and around the impoverished Whitechapel district of London, England, in the autumn of 1888. In both criminal case files and the contempt, I don't know how to pronounce that. And in journal accounts, the killer was called the Whitechapel Murder and the Leather Apron. The motive is unknown. But it's a possibility of sexual sadism and or rage. There are 5 canonical victims, but the actual count is unknown. And the locations are Whitechapel and Spitalfields, London, England, and where the 5 canonical deaths occurred. Okay, so the attacks were involved around female prostitutes who lived in the slums of the East End of London. Their throats were slit before their organs were ripped out. The removal of internal organs from at least 3 of the victims led to speculation that the killer had some anatomical or surgical knowledge. And if you know the quote unquote lore behind the Jack the Ripper name, I turn you to the Dear Boss letter.
What?
Okay, so the Dear Boss letter is a critical piece of evidence in the Jack the Ripper case. It was supposedly written by Jack the Ripper, addressed to the news agency. And I will read you the name. Dear boss, I keep on hearing the police have caught me, but they won't fix me just yet. I have laughed when they look so clever and talk about being on the right track. That joke about leather apron gave me real fits. I am down on whores and I shan't quit ripping them till I do get buckled. Grand work the last job was. I gave the lady no time to squeal. How can they catch me now? I love my work and want to start again. You will soon hear of me with my funny little games. I saved some of the proper red stuff in a ginger beer bottle over the last job to write with, but it went thick like glue and I can't use it. Red ink is fit enough, I hope. The next job I do, I shall clip the lady's ears off and send to the police officers just for jolly, wouldn't you? Keep this letter back till I do a bit more work, then give it out straight. My knife's so nice and sharp, I
What?
want to get to work right away if I get the chance. Good luck.
Might cut
Yours.
out.
Ah,
Okay, so that wasn't my Wi-Fi.
oh god
No,
damn
it
it.
was not your Wi-Fi. That's
Fuck
why I
you,
immediately said
internet.
something.
Okay, so basically, the Dear Boss letter is a taunt from Jack the Ripper,
I see.
and you can and I will send.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So there were 5
I mean,
canonical
yeah, but
victims. Um, I'm trying to remember their names. Um, the first 2, Emma Elizabeth Smith and Martha Tabram, although they're not included in the canonical 5. Well, who the fuck were they? I can't remember their names. There we go. Okay. They are Marianne Nichols, Annie Chapman, Elizabeth Stride, Catherine Eddowes, and Mary Jane Kelly. All of
right.
them, I believe, if I remember correctly, were prostitutes,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
they're believed to be more victims than just the canonical 5, but the canonical 5 are the most well known. I say this as I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Okay,
Yeah.
so
I-
speculations, comments, go, I guess.
right. I know about the case, obviously. Who fucking doesn't? There's a fucking rap battle about it.
Yeah.
But I never really cared for this fucker because the only reason he's a cold case is because he's so far back. If he had been active today, he'd be caught. Period.
Mm-hmm.
Agreed.
Because he's fucking sloppy, all things considered. In
I
the
mean,
modern world, he'd have most likely left behind way too much evidence. Well, maybe he'd have figured out a way around it because back then he didn't have to be careful. But by modern standards, he's pretty fucking sloppy.
Yeah, I mean, at modern standards, when you've got all of our forms of, well, DNA testing and whatnot in our centralized databases.
Like writing a letter by hand in the
we
modern
have
world.
calligraphists who can identify the handwriting
Or
and
at
narrow
least-
down to a few thousand people.
Yeah, so again, he wouldn't have made it in today's world, and the only reason he's a cold case is because back then there weren't really that many ways to catch serial killers, unless you caught them in the act. So, yeah, I don't think he's all that impressive.
If you just
Also
matter of
feel-
Hilton the first.
Also, I
Mhm.
feel like if you can take like a lot of these people did it for reasons of pride, like they did it and they weren't caught. And I feel like just by me thinking that this guy isn't shit, I'm mentally cutting him down in the afterlife a tiny little bit.
Yeah, most serial killers, a lot of them are doing it purely for the publicity. And like some of them want to be caught because then they get to boast about
Yeah.
how they did it.
Yeah, or they write letters to boast and then they get
Mhm.
caught because of them and then they're angry.
Yes. And that is
I also feel like
That's my
Sorry.
dopamine.
no, it's fine.
Like,
It's like
uh,
yeah. And I think that was the case with Jack the Ripper. It was pride. It was like he knew that he could get away with it, and he did.
I think part of the reason that he got away with it might also have been due to the fact that, like, I think most of, if not all of his victims were prostitutes. And we already know how people nowadays look at that kind of job. You know,
Yeah.
imagine how people looked at it back then. And I'm pretty sure it's like, I'm not sure if there's any statistics backing it up, but I've heard that in cases where victims are prostitutes or sex workers, there's just a lot less attention paid into it and a lot less effort put into them.
Yeah.
So maybe that could have been like partly something that contributed to him not being found out, or like it not being found out who Jack the Ripper really was.
Mm-hmm.
But that's speculation on my part, so I'm not sure.
And prostitutes around that time, and I hate to sound insensitive, they were easy targets.
Yeah.
That's why he probably went for them, because
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It was
had
either
at least resistance.
Yeah, exactly. It was either that they were easy targets for him, or he had a personal um and this is my personal theory, he had something against them.
Mm-hmm. I think it may have been both. Like, he had it against them, but also knew, like, well, they're, quote, easy easy targets. So that probably was a factor in as to why he did it.
Mm-hmm.
If he had a vendetta, he also knew he would be able to get away with it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think that if he were doing it for the pride, as evidenced by the letter, then they probably wouldn't have gone after a target that they knew people would have assigned less to it, because it's like there's not much point playing on easy mode. If you're going to
Well,
go after a target that no one's going to really care about.
if you're pragmatic, by the fact that his letters achieved something, obviously he has no need to change anything. Like the second the first headline appears, he was already locked in course, essentially. And
Yeah.
honestly, even if you kill like the lowest dregs of society, if you do it long enough, eventually someone will pay attention.
Hmm.
And if he's the prudent sort who just doesn't care about immediately getting his attention, he just wants to not
That's
get
fair.
caught until he does,
Yeah.
then that's the way to do it.
Yeah.
And that way you basically get a sort of like a grace period to build up your killing spree, so when it gets attention, you've got a backlog of for people to be horrified of.
Yeah.
We're really going for technical terms here, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Grace
There's
It's
actually
the
period.
best.
Jeez.
It's the best way I can think of.
Yeah.
It gets the points across.
Yeah. There's actually something that I also wanted to bring up, because there was actually a not to get all nerdy here, but there was actually an anime that took the concept of Jack the Ripper and put an entire crazy spin on it. That's obviously it's not historically accurate, but it made
It's an
sense.
anime, obviously.
It's an
not.
anime, obviously, but it made sense for the story of this particular character. I really recommend that you check it out. It's Black Butler. Definitely check it out.
Oh,
Hell yeah.
I didn't know it was
Kind
based on that.
of, yeah.
Oh,
A better,
I've been meaning to check that
closer
out, yeah.
approximation would be Assassin's Creed.
Oh yeah, they also did.
well,
They
that they
did
also
it.
did, yeah.
There's
I
there's a
didn't-
whole Jack the Ripper DLC that you
I
play
didn't like
as
the
Jack the
DLC
Ripper.
though. Like I didn't like it. It wasn't fun.
Personally, every game after Revelations is kind of shit, but we won't talk about that.
We
Unless you
don't
like
talk about that.
RPGs.
Nope, shut up. I stopped myself there.
Like, okay, I like the music from Black Flag. However, the gameplay is shit.
Right, but we're not here to talk about Assassin's
Yeah.
Creed.
But anyways,
Um,
I wanted to talk about Jack the Ripper because you wanted to play that game.
Okay, fair enough. Ah,
I actually got another killer case brought up here. And the reason why, remember, it wasn't because of the murders. Well, it was the murders, but because of the trial. More specifically, the evidence that got presented. So, these two, because this is a pair,
Oh.
this is the case of Lawrence Bittaker and Roy Norris, also known as the Toolbox Killers. Why did they get that nickname? You'll find out. So, obvious.
It has all the same vibes as dropping pianos from buildings.
I mean, true. So obviously, you put two crazies together. They both have really disturbing, what's the word? Goals, fetishes, both. And yeah. So how their MO worked is that Bittaker bought a 77 GMC cargo van, and they gave it a name. They gave it the name Murder Mac, and they would basically just cruise along the Pacific Coast Highway. Kind of give it a little bit of a test run. First victim was a 16-year-old chick, forced into the truck, duct taped her mouth, bound her ankles and wrists, and the usual raping, torture, kill. And it was the same for I forgot how many victims there were. I think there were 5 or 6. Um, but yeah, that was basically their MO. They would just target Caucasian girls in their teens. And their goal, this is actually their goal, it was to kill one victim of each teenage year. So they wanted to kill a 13-year-old, a 14-year-old, 15-year-old, one each, month. And yeah, how they would have their way, obviously the torture method would be to, this is going to be a bit iffy. It wasn't so much as the torture, it was more of how they would finish off their victims. And they had 2 different ways. One way was to strangle the victim with a wire coat hanger that was straightened, and it was tied around their necks with a pair of pliers. And the second method, the really iffy one, was stabbing ice picks through their ears into their brains
No,
and
no.
finish them off by strangulation. Yeah, fun stuff. Really, yeah.
Ugh.
And these were also the types of guys that would sometimes record everything. So, yeah, either a Polaroid camera, a tape recorder.
I
Yeah.
feel sorry for the people on the trial who had to review the evidence.
And that's the next point that I was about to bring up, the trial.
Did they show it?
There was actually the most damning evidence was a 17-minute section of the audio tape for a teenage girl. Her name was Shirley Ledford. The whole 17 minutes played for the whole trial jury to hear.
Honestly, I'd have almost sued the people who decided that because that's traumatizing as fuck.
Yeah.
I imagine, yeah. Literally,
And-
that when they presented the evidence, this is I'm gonna take a little bit of a quote. They literally said before they announced the recording, they said, "For those of you who do not know what hell is like, you'll find out." That was literally their forewarning to the jury. And that's the thing. Apparently, the judge had earlier denied motions by the defense to omit the tape recording from admission as evidence.
Mm-hmm.
Why? Apparently, I guess they wanted to, hear how they. So I don't know.
I mean, yeah, it is evidence. It makes the ruling a lot
Excuse me.
easier, but you don't need
Bless
to
you.
publicly
Thank
do
you.
that shit. Like,
Yeah. So so they play the tape. 100 people were present in the courtroom as the tape was played, and both members of the jury, the audience, they were obviously sobbing because obviously they're hearing this teenager crying in pain, being tortured. In the background, you hear these 2 guys going. Literally, they would just taunt the girls to scream, and yeah, they were just the whole trial traumatized by the screams of a teenager being tortured. I think another interesting thing to point out, which kind of gives the whole cruelty to the killers, Bittaker, the guy who would usually do the ice pick method, literally sat at the court and just smiled throughout the whole recording.
I mean, yeah, not surprising given what the shit he does. But
Yeah. And I think the district attorney who was present, I'm pretty sure he's already seen cases that were, you know, not good. But I think there was a little notes or a little like a bit of a documentation where the district attorney had to take I think they took a recess like 2 to 3 different times, and he would just openly crying because of that audio recording.
Mm.
I mean, yeah, I just fucking quit at that point. Like,
Mm-hmm.
in the interest of mental health, like.
Exactly.
Agreed.
So yeah, I
It's
think it
like-
was. Let's
I
be
mean-
honest. Do you think? Let's be brutally honest to ourselves. Do you think life imprisonment is too nice? Like, fuck the death penalty. Obviously, that's out of the
Listen, here's
question.
the thing. This guy killed teenagers. Life imprisonment is
Okay.
going to be a very
Um,
short
I
sentence for
need
him.
to
Yeah.
ask something, Spook. You said they wanted to kill a a teenager from every age group, so like 13, 14, 15, all the way up to 19.
Perhaps that was their plan. Yeah, until
That's 7. And then I think you also mentioned that they wanted to get one from every single month of the year.
No, one
no,
a
it was
month.
just
Just the
one
frequency.
teenager every month
One
on the
teenager
age
every month.
span. So what 1 month it would be a 13-year-old, the next month 14-year-old, next month 15-year-old, and so forth.
Okay, so that would have been 7 victims.
About yeah. Unfortunately, they only did. I think it was either 5 to 6. One was attempted but failed, and one of the guys, I think it was Roy. Yeah, Norris actually bragged about his murders to a fellow prison friend, and that fellow prison friend went to the cops and said, "Hey, so like this dude just said that they're the killers."
'Cause he
Um,
has morals, presumably.
yeah, and
Honor among
apparently
thieves and whatnot.
Yeah.
honor among thieves. But the prison friend went to the cops. The cops arrested both of them, and Norris was the one that tried to testify against him just to get that little plea bargain. And yeah, but I think it was just more about the trial itself, especially with that audio being played for the jury to listen to.
Yeah, like that would also be specifically something that would definitely hit me especially hard. So I'm very glad I was not in that fucking trial.
Yeah. I can
Yeah,
already
and
tell.
thank the Lord
I can already
there
tell
are
that it's
no
gonna hit you.
copies. So for those of you who are actually macabre, actually mentally disturbed enough to go look for it, it's not online, so don't
Yeah.
bother.
You don't
Yeah,
yeah,
better
I
that
would
way.
imagine that you would not want to look for something like that. Like there's some disturbing shit online, but come on guys. Have like um
Have some
But,
fucking respect.
yeah.
yeah, exactly.
You know what?
Like that's
I remember there was one other case, if we're going for something slightly more wholesome here. Um,
Very nice change of pace.
like it's not a cold one, it's an actual solved one, mostly because nothing actually happened.
mm,
It's a case more about how something was prevented for once. But bear with me here because I'm going from memory. But there was, I believe it was a gym owner. He was like a very successful businessman. He started the gym himself and built it up and all that shit. You know, American dream and all that.
Yeah.
And he had some nice buddies, and one of them had a fight with him and was out drinking and met that guy's wife, and he vented to the wife about how his friend was a fucking idiot. And that wife was like, apparently took that as a sign and confided in that friend that she wanted to kill him, like the husband. Now, the friend could have gone, what the fuck, and gone to the police right there. But he probably was still sober enough to realize that he didn't really have much to go off. So, what he decided to do is to play along. Because the guy's wife said she already had someone lined up, but they were still working on it. And he was like, no, I know a guy. And then he went to the police with that and told the police, like, can can one of you pretend to be a hitman so we can nail this person? So he actually got the police, sort of one of the police people, to play the role of hitman and arrange all of that. And they actually played the whole thing out. Like they contacted the husband, told him about it, and asked him, hey, just to make sure we get her for this, do you want to play along? Like act dead, take some pictures and all that. And they did. And they actually brought the wife in, like told her, yeah, your husband has been killed, and she went through the whole crocodile tears and all that shit. And then they brought in the husband. And yeah. And like needless to say, she got convicted. But that was like someone put that in a video of like true crime things, and that stuck with me just because it's like this one island of wholesomeness in all of these cases. Because for once, someone had like a truly fucking loyal friend who saved their fucking lives like that. And just, I mean, yeah, it's technically not true crime in the classical sense because nobody died.
It's
But,
still crime.
It's still
Yeah, it's
Attempted
still crime
murder
because
and
obviously she got
conspiracy
convicted.
to kill is
Yeah,
still
conspiracy
Yeah.
to kill and a whole bunch of other stuff, because obviously all of this is really fucking illegal. But also, that husband now has a best friend for life because, yeah, at that point, that's basically indestructible trust if someone has saved your life like that. Like, yeah, that case sort of stuck with me just because it's for once not sad.
Mm.
True. Yeah.
That's true.
And like, just the whole true crime stuff, it can be really depressing.
Yes, it is.
Like, I had my 1 week binge of watching a lot of that content, and then I hit 3 cases in pretty close proximity, hit a nerve, and on the third one, I was just like, you know what, fuck this. And then I
Mhm.
sort of stopped pursuing the whole thread, but I still have some of them in my head, and most of them I don't want to be there. But this one, I don't mind.
Yeah.
Yeah, just that one sort of restored my faith in humanity a little bit.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah, like it drops from fucking 0, it rises up to like 5% again.
Mhm.
Some good
Well,
people in the world.
yeah, and I think that is a good note to end on because we have been
Yes.
recording for almost 3 hours.
Oy.
Oh gosh.
Yeah. So, if there's anybody who is still watching, thank you for making it this far. Holy fucking shit. God.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm gonna leave links for everybody who joined us today in the description so you guys can check them out. I'm trying to think, is there anything else that should be mentioned? Fuck, I can't think of anything.
Remember, an apple a day keeps the doctor away.
No, I meant as far as like channel announcements and some shit.
Ah,
Uh,
Subscribe to Lucas' channel.
Yes, of
I
course.
said that. I
Of
said
course.
that at the beginning.
Yeah, but it bears mentioning again, you know,
It
just in
bears
case.
It does.
Yeah.
bears
Mhm.
mentioning again. Oh my god, you guys are crazy. Anyway, thank you all for joining us for the chaos. Hopefully we get to do another one of these soon. Maybe with less depressing topics.
Yes.
No
Please.
promises.
No promises.
Okay.
But anyway, thank you guys for joining us and see you when we post another one of these.
Woo.
Woo!
Yeah.
Alright,
Yeah.
bye!
Bye.
Bye.
Oh my